What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, day 30, and we finally have some news for you guys. But we're back in here on a Sunday, and you can see the smiles on our faces as Spurs finally are starting to get to grips with this transfer window. We've got two incoming transfers to talk about from Paratici's mates out in Juventus. We've got some other news to talk about as well in terms of outgoings and some more incomings, potential incomings as well. But look, everyone can just breathe a sigh of relief now because it looks those signings are coming through the door, doesn't it, Sim?
It appears that way, although, you know, look.
Don't say it, man. Don't say
it. It appears that way. I can't remember, have we ever had a here we go and then it gone wrong? I can't remember too many times for us, personally.
For us, I don't think there has been one.
I think it has happened before, but...
Maybe Dybala? Did Dybala get the here we go?
Potentially, I can't remember. Did anyone remember in the comments if the Dybala got the here we go? But we have two here we goes. So look, it looks like we're finally getting some transfers through the door. Maybe not our first choices, and maybe you could say, you know, is Paratici doing his old club a favour, raiding their bench to improve our squad? But I think for me, the transfers that we're getting in are good potential players, players who improve definitely the depth of the squad, and I think as well, given time, will improve the quality of the team as well. So I'm quite excited about these potential deals. I think that, and rightfully so, I think they're two good players, and I don't think these are two players who's going to be a massive game changer when it comes to, you know, challenging for titles or anything like that, but when it comes to the top four race, that added depth is going to go a long way, I think.
I completely agree.
But there are some positions we still need to address.
Of course there are. I mean, yeah, there are definitely positions we need to address. I mean, for me, coming into this window, right wing back was number one priority for me. And I mean, we're not even linked with anyone really. I mean, we're linked with DJ Spence, obviously, but I don't think he can play for us even if we did sign him. So that would be one for next season. He's the only one that we're really talking about. But look, let's focus on the players that we are bringing in. And let's start off with Dejan Kulusevski. Romano tweeted a couple of hours ago now saying, Kulusevski to Tottenham, here we go. He'll fly to London today. Total agreement reached with Juventus. Deal will be around 40 million euros plus add-ons, including a loan fee and a blight clause that could become mandatory in the case of Champions League qualification or a certain number of appearances. So Dejan Kulusevski, I mean, you got to remember this guy 2 years ago was proper hot property in Europe. He got a young player of the year in Serie A. You know, he was, you know, scoring time and time again for Juventus. Things haven't really worked out in the last year or so, but I think this guy has immense quality. I really believe that. And I think when you're looking at a front three of potentially Kulusevski, Kane and Son, that is mouthwatering to me.
And yeah, he provides a different option in terms of he's a left-footed a player who plays on the right, which we haven't had since Bale last season. Obviously this season, Lucas Moura has predominantly had that role on the right-hand side nailed down, and he's played a very good role, but we haven't had that rotation. We haven't had a player to be able to come in and ease the burden on our front line. There's been a serious pressure on those three to perform every time they play. And now we're adding an extra attacker. He can play down the centre, he can play on the right, he's versatile, he's got a lot of guile about him, he's creative, he's got good passing, he's got decent pace as well, and he's got quality. Unfortunately, I don't know what's happened with him you know, the past year or so at Juventus. For some reason, it's gone very wrong for him. But this is a player with no doubt supreme quality. I think even at the Euros for Sweden, you could see that as well. I thought he had a great Euros when he was involved. You got to remember, he's only 21. He's only 21, so he's still very young. He's got a massive scope to improve. You know, Kane wasn't even in the Tottenham team at this age, was he? He was out on loan, you know, so he's still got so much scope to improve, and that's why I would say, as much as I think he will add depth immediately, and I think he will provide an option. Like, I think, for example, he'll have more an impact on games than someone like Cahill would right now. I think he's more physically ready for that. I think he's more able to play right now, but I'm not expecting him to just come in and be a world-class player straight away. I think we're going to have to give him a bit of time to grow. I'm sure that he's going to have some inconsistent performances, but what he does do immediately is add depth to the team, add more options, add a different kind of attacking option on the right-hand side, something we don't have right now. And also, he's creative. I think a lot of people have been complaining about breaking teams down in a low block. And I think he has pretty good close control and pretty good ability to look for creative passes in the final third. So that's going to be a massive, massive plus. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring and how Conte can develop him.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the two systems that Conte's worked with us so far in the 3-4-3 and the 3-5-2, he fits in both of those systems. So in the 3-4-3, he can play that Lucas Moura role on the right-hand side. In a 3-5-2, he can play a bit more of a central role, maybe in the sort of cam position with two players sitting behind him. So I think he's someone that can very much fit into Conte's system, whichever way he likes to play it. I've really been keeping an eye on him for a number of years now. Obviously, in the last year, it hasn't worked out for him for whatever reason it is. Maybe it's because of Allegri coming in.
Well, they like to play 4-4-2, don't they?
So maybe that's why it hasn't worked out.
You've got to think, where does he really fit in that formation?
But he's also a player that apparently Antonio Conte tried to sign at Inter Milan when just before he went to Juventus. Him and Paratici were fighting to sign him, and obviously Paratici won. He went to Juventus at the end of the day. But look, I think it's a really good signing. And look, when you're talking about like, is he our first choice? Is he our fifth choice? Whatever. I think that Spurs have been chasing this guy for a while now. I think that we were linked with him in the last summer. Obviously, nothing happened there. I think that Spurs have been chasing this guy for a bit of time anyway. And when people are saying that, Paratici, all he's doing is buying Juve rejects and blah, blah, blah. But everyone was happy with Romero in the summer, and he was also a Juventus reject. I mean, players leave Juventus and sometimes hit the heights, don't they? I mean, we've seen a number of cases of that happening.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a case of you don't want to judge him too harshly at 21 years of age just because it hasn't worked out at Juventus. And you've got to remember as well, first we were definitely interested in him, and maybe Juventus were a bit more reluctant to let him go before the whole Vlahovic deal came around, and that only just came around in the past few days. And so they clearly needed to offload players, and maybe it's a case of they're offloading him reluctantly. We don't really know for sure what the case is, but in terms of the deal we've got, apparently we're paying a bit more than what Juve paid for him 2 years ago, so they're getting a bit of a profit on him. But I think it's a loan with an obligation only if certain things are met, and so I think that's a smart deal from a Spurs point of view. If we get Champions League football, it's we have to do the obligation, and if he hits a certain number of appearances, we're not sure what that number is. I'm sure it'll come out in the coming days. But I think that's also smart because it means if he's getting the same amount of game time as Bryan Gil, then we don't have to activate the option.
Yeah.
But if he is a serious part of our first team, we're using him a lot, then we have to. Then it shows it's going to be worth it.
I think he'll be used a considerable amount more than Bryan Gil.
You'd assume so.
From now until the end of the season, he will be. I think that he'll be fighting Lucas Moura for that role, and I think that he'll see a lot of game time from now until the end of the season. I genuinely believe that, and he's a player with immense quality, and he's a player with a very high ceiling as well. Moving forward into his career, we're nowhere near the peak years of what they say the peak years are like 27, 28.
He's so young, yeah.
He's so young. He's got so much time.
We signed
on his
Lamella
hands.
at 21, didn't we?
Exactly, and with Paratici and Conte at the helm, they know a lot about him, and they'll know exactly where to fit him into the system and stuff like that. So I'm very happy with this deal. I really am very happy with this deal, and I'm much more sold on this deal than I am the next deal we're going to talk about. Yeah,
but just quickly on this from Damasio. Talking about the deal, he says 18-month initial loan. So it's an 18-month loan, not 6-month loan. So he'll join on an 18-month initial loan with worth 10 million euros. Spurs then have an obligation to buy for 25 million euros if they qualify for the Champions League. The total fee could exceed 40 million euros if he plays over 50% of his matches.
In the 18 months?
I guess so.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's not a 6-month loan, it's 18-month loan. Well, it's basically a signing at this point.
Levy goes to him, all right, he's going to pay 49% of the games.
And then send it back. So at that point, that's definitely a much more certain in terms of him signing rather than a loan deal. So if it's a 6-month loan with CL and 50%, you're thinking there is a chance he'll be sent back in 6 months' time. Whether if it's an 18-month loan is structured like that.
It's kind of win-win for Spurs, this deal.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, because, try before you buy. If it's not working out, obviously we don't have to.
So it gives us 2 chances to get Champions League, I'm guessing.
This year and next year.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. So if we hit Champions League in any of these seasons, this year or next year, that's it. We have to buy it.
I guess so. I guess that's what it looks like.
So it's not it's not along with the appearances as well. It's either or.
It says obligations are for 25 if they qualify for Champions League, and then I guess the appearance is a clause that if he activates a certain clause, it's an extra 5. Is that 5 million? It's an extra 5 million if he plays over 50%.
Okay. I think it's a really good deal. It's a really good deal.
That seems structured and put to Tottenham's benefit. I think
don't have to spend too much of the budget on right now. Only 10 million of that budget goes now for the loan deal. And if he meets these certain criteria, if we get Champions League or if he plays 50 games, that's it. We have to buy him. But look, I'm happy with that deal. I'm happy with the signing. I'm happy with finally getting bodies in, very much needed in this transfer window. We are 1 day to go until the end of the window, so we have left it late. But it looks as though Kulusevski, well, it doesn't look as though he is going to be a Spurs player, and I can't wait to see him hold up that shirt. Yeah,
I'm very excited about this potential deal. So I do call for a bit of patience, but I think it's a deal that rightly we can get excited about and look forward to in a Tottenham shirt.
And not only is he a young player coming, but he's also a player coming from abroad who's never played English football before. So I think even if a player is 25, 26 coming from abroad that's never played English football, you're going to have a bit of patience. So even more so with a 21-year-old as well. So look, good player, high ceiling, position we needed. He's going to add to the attack as well. He adds creative football from the right-hand side and from the central as well, central position. So it's a deal, very good deal. Good on Paratici and Levy for getting this over the line. You got to say that. So that is done. Here we go, has been said from Fabrizio Romano. Just before we move on, let's get into some of the super chats that have been sent so far. And the first one is from Murder Dem saying, got a really good feeling from Kulu will be a huge success for us. Also, you guys need to start putting your content on Spotify or something. Big up. Well, yeah, maybe we'll think about that.
Spotify, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Dinesh M saying, I've heard from Chris's live stream that Bentancur is a better version of Winks and is tactically strong. Sounds similar to what we have. And yeah, that's what I was thinking last night. I mean, I haven't seen much of him, but look, we'll get into it in a second. But Tom Nilsson, welcome to Gold as well. He just joined, so welcome to the family. Travis Kendall saying Kulusevski holding the ball and passing really reminds me of Kane. Thoughts on Lucas possibly playing in a free roaming 10 that he likes the best. What do you think of that?
Sorry, say that again.
He says Kulusevski holding the ball and passing really reminds me of Kane, and thoughts of Lucas possibly playing the free roaming number 10 now that Kulusevski's here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he fits Kulusevski, Son, Lucas into one team. I think it's more going to have to be more of a rotation kind of thing in a front three. But hopefully what I'm hoping for is, like, literally, if you look at the Leicester game, right, it was literally Kane trying to play through balls to himself. That's what it seemed like a lot of the time. So I'm hoping he can take the burden off Harry Kane from a creative standpoint, Kulusevski, and also I hope he adds a bit of quality in terms of maybe goals and assists on the right-hand side, because as much as Lucas Moura provides good dribbling ability, that's always been lacking, and maybe he brings better decision-making in the final third.
Yeah. And another super chat here from Giuseppe Nuts.
No, him.
Heard on Cowlin's stream from guest panel that Kulu and Bentancur are 5 to 6 out of 10 players. Plus, they will be new to the EPL. Let's get behind them. Well, that's
yeah. I mean, maybe at the moment, but I think if maybe how Conte is going to play them, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, it could be better than that.
Yeah. But let's get on to the next signing, which is Rodrigo Bentancur, obviously on Juventus as well. We have got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano as of literally 20 minutes ago now, and it says Rodrigo Bentancur from Juventus to Tottenham, done deal, and here we go. Agreement completed for 19 million euros plus 6 million euros in add-ons. He's joining Spurs together with Dejan Kulusevski, and that is a deal from Dennis Zakaria to Juventus has enabled this move to happen. Bentancur is not a player that I know too much about. I've done a lot of research on him last night, done a lot of reading about him. And it has got me slightly excited, but it does seem that he's very similar into the Winks and to the mold of what we already have.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've been saying how much I want a creative player. I want someone like a Neves or Jorginho in the centre of the park, because I think that's what we're lacking as a central midfielder, and I think we need more passing ability than just purely someone who's more defensive. And I think Bentancur, as much as he's not that, he's definitely his attributes definitely lie on his ability off the ball rather than on the ball. He does have decent ability on the ball. He's got a fairly decent passing range. He's obviously very, very good at pressing and very good at got strong in the tackle. He's got good stamina and all these kind of things. So I think we've got a very solid, dependable player coming through the door, which I'm happy about. And I think there has to be it's hard for me because obviously I wanted a creative player. So it's hard for me not to criticise, we're getting another defensive player. But I think it's been now very evident, right, what we're looking for this window when it comes to centre mid. With Amrabat and now Bentancur, we're clearly looking for a very specific profile of central midfield. And also the fact that he's willing to discard the Celso and Ndombele. And for the likes of Højbjerg, Winks and Skip, it's very much he likes dependable central midfielders who can be tactically do what he says, and from a passing point, they don't have to be the best passer in the world, but as long as they can be good enough passers for his system. And clearly that's what he's going for. So if that's what Conte wants, then when we talk about backing Conte, that's the type of player he wants. I think it's clear from now. So I don't know more than Conte, so I'm not going to start complaining about he's not creative, he's a different kind of player, he's too similar to what we have. That's clearly what he's wanted. That's clearly what he wants to bring through the door. So it's Paratici's job to get a player like that through the door. So fair play on getting that player, I'm going to say.
Yeah, and when you're talking about Bentancur and Amrabat, there's clear levels between those two players, that's for sure. So I'm obviously very happy that Bentancur is coming through the door instead of Safi and Amrabat. The way I look at it, the way I've been reading about him, it seems as though like he could potentially play that kind of deep-sitting, deep-lying kind of player that Winks plays, that Winks has been playing in the last few games, where, Skip and Højbjerg have been sitting in front of Winks, and Winks has been there trying to sort of like orchestrate things from behind. So I think that Bentancur could play that kind of role for Spurs. But again, I haven't seen too much of him play, so it's hard for me to comment too much. I've just read articles and stuff like that on him. But it is worth saying that he was very central to that Juventus team that last won the league. Yeah, and again, it seems like Juventus fans will speak to one in a moment, which we'll get on. But it doesn't seem like they're too bothered about him going again. It's similar to Kulusevski, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see why that is. But when it comes to the type of player he's very experienced international as well. He's 24 years of age, so he's not the youngest player. But it's good age, 24. But you got to think as well. What was I going to say? You look at Liverpool and how their central midfielders are. Obviously, they have like Thiago, but the other centre mids they have, you wouldn't say are like the most creative passers, are they? But what they do is they're very dependable, very intense pressures on the ball, and they're very workmanlike, all of them. So we're not going to have creativity through the middle, though. We need another right wing back. Oh, that's for sure, and that's the biggest key. But we'll get into that in a second. We're talking about central midfield options. If the job of them is not to be creative and just win the ball back and get the ball very quickly to the wing backs and the creative players in the front three, then Bentancur can probably do that job, I think. And I think he's a player that Conte can develop as well a bit in terms of maybe get more out of him than he's performing right now. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the ball. He doesn't drive the ball forward or get the ball into the final third as much as other players might do in the central midfield position. But he's pretty good at what he's good at, which is winning the ball back, and he's pretty good at keeping possession and ball retention. So I'm not going to say he's a player to like. He's going to get you off your seat and be very excited about, but he's definitely a player who Conte can depend on, and he's definitely a player who. Conte can rely on to be in that central midfield and not be a liability and be in a part of a solid team. Do you think he's an upgrade on what we have? Potentially, yeah. Because I think what I'm reading, it seems as though he will be, or he can be. I reckon it's hard to say because Premier League and everything. I would say probably he's ahead of Skip Winks right now. I would say in terms of him versus Skip, obviously he's got a bit more experience than Skip, so he's probably ahead in that aspect in terms of the know-how of the game. But in terms of ability, I think Skip might be ahead. It's very difficult. But in terms of Højbjerg, I think Højbjerg is probably a better player than him right now, I would say. All right. Well, that is Rodrigo Bentancur. He is joining Spurs as well. Double signing from Juventus is about to be, it should be announced either today or tomorrow. I imagine it'll probably be tomorrow, right?
Yeah, deadline day deals, exactly. And just quickly, Lyle Thomas has just tweeted from Sky Sports. He said it's unlikely Tottenham bring in any other players other than Bentancur and Kulusevski. That's what he's saying.
Lyle Thomas.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what happens there. So that is Bentancur and Kulusevski. Now we've got a very special guest to bring on today. A Juventus fan, Just Juve. He goes by the name of Giuseppe. A very knowledgeable Juventus fan. I believe he does the Juventus Twitch as well, the official Juventus Twitch. Let's get him on and see his views on the business that our two clubs are doing together. Let's bring him on. Giuseppe, how are we doing today?
Hi guys, thank you for the invite. I'm super well, actually. Really excited because a lot is happening for our both club, for Juventus and Tottenham. So thank you for the invite. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you on right now. Our clubs are doing a lot of business. I mean, first of all, let's start off when Paratici joined Spurs. I mean, I had a bit of an inkling that Spurs and Juventus might be doing a bit of business once he did come through the door. First of all, what are your opinions on Paratici? Because I've heard a lot of raving reviews from Juventus fans on him.
Well, I already spoke about Paratici. I was a big fan of Fabio because I believe that he stayed 11 years at the club, and in these 11 years, Juventus won 9 times the title, even more cups if we add all the other ones. So he did something good. People that are saying he did not do great thing at Juventus, they are a bit delusional, I believe, because he did amazing things. If you look at his top 10, but even top 15 players that he brought in, I think he did really well. We know the names already, but Pogba for free, Vidal that was unknown at the time. He brought in a lot of players, and then he take you a Cristiano Ronaldo with the benefits and the consequences of having Cristiano Ronaldo, of course. But you can't doubt the abilities of Fabio Paratici to be an amazing scout and a person that knows and understands football and is living 24/7 football. So big up for that. Does that mean that Fabio Paratici has always been perfect? No, because he also did his mistakes, of course. I think a turning point in the career of Fabio Paratici at Juventus was at the moment where he did a perfect duo with Beppe Marotta that is now at Inter, because Paratici was scouting, was doing the first contacts, was really speaking about football with understanding how the players could fit into the teams. And then you had a Marotta that was looking at the financial side. Was it okay? Was it not? And they gave the approval or not. From the moment that Marotta left, he was alone, and I believe that from that moment it was a difficult job for him to combine all the aspects as a man alone. Also being in front of cameras was something that was not really his big skill, so he had to take everything at once. And if 1 year later you have a pandemic that nobody could predict, it makes the job really difficult. And that's where, according to me, he did some mistakes that Juventus is still actually paying now, like signing for free some players like Ramsey and Rabiot that are unfortunately not doing great at Juventus. But other than that, I can speak only great things about Fabio Paratici, and I think he's doing really, he will do a great job also at Tottenham.
Okay, amazing. Obviously, right now in this transfer window, it's gonna be bonkers late in the window, as we've seen. You know, Juventus making some big moves in Vlahovic, and with that happening, it looks like they need to free up some funds. And looks like Paratici might be doing his old club a big favour in that aspect. Let's talk about these two potential deals. Then let's start with Dejan Kulusevski.
Well, it's potential until the clubs are officially saying and putting on side that the two are have been signed or sold to Tottenham. It's still a potential. But if we look at Fabrizio Romano and also all the Juventus reporters and expert of Mercato, looks like it will be a matter of hours. So we can already think about these two players being Tottenham players. One thing that before starting speaking about the players, I want to say that maybe you have to thank me because you have here
you got the Bentancur shirt.
Hey, pay attention, because then you have Kulusevski here.
Oh,
So,
brilliant.
guys, at a certain moment, you have to say thank you to me because it's my third shirt curse. When I buy third shirt players, then they go in another team. So,
Oh, so thank you, Giuseppe.
Do you want to buy a third shirt of Dybala? Would we could do us a favour?
no. I have, but I put it on the home shirt most of the time.
Of course, he did.
I'm sorry, guys. But no, if we speak about the players, you wanted to go through Kulusevski first or Bentancur?
Yeah, let's go talk about Dejan first. I want to know your thoughts on why it hasn't worked at Juventus. For the 2 years he's been there, what type of player we're getting, and how you think he'll fare at Tottenham. So let's talk about his time at Juventus first. Obviously, he signed just on the back of winning Young Player of the Year at Parma after a very good season. I think he signed under Andrea Pirlo. He was the manager first there. Seemed saw quite a lot of game time last season, but this season hasn't quite seen the same amount. What's happened there for you?
Well, first of all, I have to say that if I buy a shirt, it means that I believe in the players. I'm hyped about the player. So I believe that, and I'm sure about it, Dejan Kulusevski is a real potential, a player that can really do well in Premier League. Maybe even better than in a big club in Italy, because you saw it when he was doing well at Parma. He was, of course, from Atalanta, but on loan at Parma. And he did amazingly well, scoring, if I'm not wrong, 10 goals and also 10 assists for his first season. He was really a special kid. And we bought him, and that's one of the consequences of having Kulusevski. We bought him actually with the idea in mind that it was a Sarri player for Maurizio Sarri, not for Andrea Pirlo at the time. We gave him and we left him at Parma on loan for the rest of the season, where he continued to do well. He arrived at Juve, other coach with other ideas. We stopped playing that 4-3-3 that was really a characteristic of Maurizio Sarri. So you have a player that is a bit lost because he doesn't know what we expect from him. In one of his first interviews, he's speaking about his favorite role that is actually at number 10 behind the striker, what is in contradiction with what he was playing at Parma, because at Parma he was really playing that 4-3-3 with Gervinho on the left and him on the right side of the field. He arrived at Juve, and it was really an unlucky season for Juventus last year, also because we had so many injuries. COVID kicked in. You had always actually a problem in our offensive line, with Morata out for a certain moment, with Ronaldo out, where we have asked him to play a lot of time out of position. He never really played that number 10 role that he wanted, even if Dybala was injured, but he also never played that 4-3-3 while we bought him for. And playing at Juventus, you don't have the same spaces that you have at Parma, where you really have a lot of field where you can run and use your pace, use your technique, because he's a player that goes stronger according to the meters that he's running. So he has the ball in the middle of the field and he has some field to run. He's going really, really great. Unfortunately, you don't have that at Juventus, where you are a lot of time blocked by the team that are playing defensively, parking actually the bus. And that has caused a lot of problems for Kulusevski with Andrea Pirlo. Nevertheless, if you look at his 74 games with Juve, he still scored 9 goals with Juventus. Had a really great start with Pirlo, finished really well, was a bit lost in the middle of the season, but I believe it was also consequence of a Juventus that was not performing that well last year. He started with a new coach like Allegri this season, and Allegri is speaking really well about him in pre-season, saying he's expecting a lot from Dejan Kulusevski because he's really a talent with a lot of skills. He played a lot of games this season, I believe 27 or something like that, but never started. He's a sub. He was a sub that we wanted to find his position. But more the games were going, more I saw with Dejan Kulusevski that was looking on the ground. When he was playing, he looked a bit sad. He looked depressed. And I believe that he's a player that he was receiving too many tactical orders, first with Pirlo and then with Allegri, where he didn't know actually how to take his initiatives anymore and lost that magic, when you know that you have your game and you are doing well. And you see it also with Sweden now, when he's playing with Sweden, where he started really well. He's in transition between becoming a tactical player, what he was becoming, and continuing that free player that did really well. I believe that one, because I was looking also what are his weaknesses. I believe that his weakness can be mental. He should be loved by supporters, is young, so he need a bit of time. People need to believe in him, and I'm sure he can do great.
Interesting. I mean, what's the feeling within the Juventus fan base right now on Kulusevski? I mean, are they happy to see the back of him? Are they thinking, maybe we've let him go a bit too early? What's the feeling within the fan base right now?
You have a division between people that are happy that he's leaving, also because we know the results of Juventus are not that great at the moment, so they were waiting for a renewal, and whoever would leave Juventus, I believe that supporters would be happy because we are expecting something more, a boost. On the other hand, you have the real division between people who are saying, we will have the same story as Thierry Henry that left really early and became really great with Arsenal, or a Kingsley Coman that left to Bayern Munich without really having a chance because they were young talents, also kind of wing players, offensive wing players that actually after leaving Juventus did really great. And then you have the people that are really happy. So it's a real division. I'm sad. I'm really sad if it happens that he's officially leaving. I will be really sad because it's a player that I believe has a lot of potential. Could we have waited a bit more? I don't know. Because on the other hand, we have these under 23, the young academy players that are waiting, and most of them are playing in the kind of same position. It's a player that loves to play a bit more on the right side of the field and cut the field to enter to find his left foot. We have Dybala that is playing that position kind of, and when they were playing simultaneously, they were stepping on their feet, both of them. I don't know if at Tottenham you have a player that loves to go from the right in the center, but that could potentially be a problem. But also our young academy players, we have a Marleake, we have Matthias Soulé, young talent prospects that are playing that kind of position. So Juventus is covered, and I'm always saying that that's my feeling. I prefer to see a player becoming a phenomenal happy somewhere else in another club than staying at the club and being sad. That's my philosophy.
In terms of how Tottenham like to play, obviously famously under Antonio Conte, he likes to play with three at the back, and he likes to play either 3-4-3 with three forward players or a 3-5-2 with maybe two strikers. I've seen him very, very occasionally play in a central striker role for Juventus, maybe in a two up top. But with the striking options we have at the moment, with Lucas Moura, Heung-min Son in the wide areas, do you think he's first of all going to get a start ahead of someone like Lucas Moura straight away? Do you see him breaking in straight away? And if we do play with the two up top, do you reckon he could be an option there in the central role?
I don't believe it's a player for a 3-5-2 playing as a right winger. It doesn't have the leg to do all the field. I don't believe that. Then I can be wrong because you know that with Antonio Conte, he's able to transform anyone. In a 3-5-2 playing in a two-man up front, he did it last season a lot of time and he scored some goals. So he has the abilities to do it. I don't see him as a real striker. I would love to see him in the 3-4-3 because I was looking a bit at the tactics that you were using at Tottenham. 3-4-3 offensively on the right, I think that can be his best position.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, so that's player number one. Player number two, Rodrigo Bentancur. Obviously, he's been a mainstay in the Juventus side for a number of years now. Was quite central to you when you last won the league a couple of years back now. What can you tell me about him? What are his strengths? What are his flaws? Do you rate him as a player?
I like Bentancur as well. I had big hopes for him. I have to admit that I was a bit disappointed last season for him. I will come back to that. But I had a lot of big hopes for him because the kid has talent. But also his main weakness is maybe the grinta that is missing, that grit, being that leader. If you are looking for a leader, he's not a leader. If you are looking for someone that is scoring, is not a goal scorer. If you're looking for someone that is taking the shots from the distance, he's not, even if he has the potential to do it, because he has a really beautiful shot from the distance. He has power. He can be really precise, but he's not using him a lot. And I believe that is a lot of conviction, is understanding that he can be a real great player. He did some great games at Juventus. He started as a bench player, young player coming from Boca Juniors to Juventus, without a lot of ambition. Maybe it's the ambition that is missing. That's the word I was looking for. But a player that was there on the bench, he did enter the games, and he was doing well also with Allegri. Allegri rated him a lot. His best season was with Maurizio Sarri, where Sarri believed a lot on him and chose him over a Pjanic. Why? Because Pjanic was out of project with Maurizio Sarri, so he gave him a chance, and he knew that he was the undiscussed starter. He played as a number 6, so if we play a 4-3-3, as the middle central midfielder, the one that was actually working and starting, being the tempo setter, the one that sets the tempo of the team. Pirlo, when he came, he said that's not a player that is able to play there because he was looking for someone with brains. And Bentancur is a player that he has not potentially the brains to dictate the game. He's great to regulate the tempo, but not to have actually to start the game. It's not a Pirlo from Juve at the time, even if it's really hard to be a Pirlo, of course, but it's not that type of player. In Italy, they really see him, Pirlo and Allegri, as a mezzala, so the box-to-box player, and he can really give a lot of himself from the moment that he knows that he can play his game. If he has to pay attention to the one next to him on the left or on the right, whatever, he starts to be a bit confused. So if you are protecting him and you give him some really clear tasks, then he can be phenomenal, because it's a player that can run for 90 minutes. He can give a high pressure. He can be on the ball. He has also a vertical game. And that's beautiful if you are, especially in Premier League, where you love to go vertical instead of horizontal and calming down the game. He really knows how to play in one touch really vertically. You
That's
just
good.
have to pay attention not to play vertical in the other side of the field, because that can cause some problems. He missed sometimes some concentration moments, and that can be sometimes dangerous. That happened at Juventus, where some fans started to criticize him because of lack of concentrations. But he's 24, 25. He has the potential, and for the price, that if the price and the that our reporter are correct, I think that you are doing a beautiful deal with Rodrigo.
Yeah, so that's really good to hear. And but in terms of the midfield options Tottenham have at the moment, you know, like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Harry Winks, Oliver Skip, he does seem very similar to those kind of players in terms of his attributes and what he's good at and what he's not good at. So do you expect him to be very much a player Conte could easily bring into his midfield and he could rely on to just easily slot in there? And do you think he's an upgrade on what we currently have?
I believe that the first meeting between Conte, Kulusevski, and and Bentancur will be really important, because that's where he will try to touch their heart, and touch also to enter and try to enter their brains, to say, guys, you have the potential. I believe in you guys. Now you will have to repay the trust. Also Paratici, that knew them really well because he was with there. He brought them also to the club. I think that the first one-to-one meetings that they will have will make the difference, and I'm expecting them to play really fast as a starter in the team. Will they be able to keep that role? I can't tell you today, but the trust will be really high from Conte to them immediately, except if Conte judge that they are not ready mentally, and that you will have to wait a bit of time so that he can enter their brain. I think the important thing will be also the support, the trust, and the love of the supporters of Tottenham, because I was also seeing that. I'm not a Tottenham expert, of course, but watching a bit online, you also have a clear division between some that are really, really happy that the both are joining, and then you have another one that are not believing in, saying that Paratici is doing favors to Juve. What I personally don't believe, because at the end, when you have these kind of roles, business is business, even if you can have a lot of affinity, of course.
It's interesting to see the kind of reaction from the Juventus fan base in terms of Bentancur, because I've seen a lot more kind of positive attitude towards Kulusevski than I have seen towards Bentancur. And I mean, is it the same feeling? Do you think it's a bit similar? It's split 50-50, or do you think more people would like to see the back of Rodrigo?
No, you have more people that are happy that Bentancur is leaving than Kulusevski. In Kulusevski, you have the benefit of the doubt, and you have also these kind of sparkles of, we saw some things that Kulusevski really could do in 18 months, because he's not there since long, while Bentancur is there since 5 years. We know the player really well, and unfortunately, what I was telling you earlier, where I was a bit more disappointed, it was last year where we really needed a bit of leadership in the midfield because Pjanic left, because you were in a rebuilding phase, because you were not doing that great. I was expecting, and a lot were expecting him to take a bit the Juventinità because he was there since 4 years. He knew the club really well. He was one of the older ones in that midfield, even if he was young, but in terms of ancienity, and that he could bring something to the new players, and he didn't brought it. Also, we remember these big mistakes he did versus Porto, giving these kind of back passes and causing us an elimination of Champions League quite early. So you have a bigger percentage of Juve fans that are happy that he's leaving. I'm sad, to be honest, because I like the guy.
Okay, so overall, with these two potential transfers, if they do come to fruition and they do happen, do you think Tottenham fans should be excited with what they're getting?
Yes, I think yes, because you have Antonio Conte that won, of course, in Premier League already, so he knows Premier League. But having people that understand another football like Serie A, and I'm not absolutely not comparing the two leagues, but they understand Serie A. They understand also maybe a bit faster what the coach is asking from them because they have this kind of affinity. So I think that you can be excited of the two players now. And I was listening before jumping up. They are not the best players in the world. They are not like I don't know if you buy some players like a Lewandowski in terms of name or a Holland or these kind of players.
We like to say Harry Kane
in the midfield. Okay, so of course it's not. They are not the players that on FIFA Foot has a 93 rating.
Yeah.
But they are young players with unexpressed potential that I believe, and especially Kulusevski, that he can do really great in Premier League. If Bentancur wakes up a bit, he can be a beautiful midfielder also in your team, a beautiful addition.
Well, let's hope Antonio Conte has the tools to unlock it in Bentancur, that's for sure, and I'm sure he does. But Giuseppe, thank you so much for coming on. The insight you've given us has been unbelievable, and a lot of the viewers, I'm sure, will very much appreciate it. But before we let you go, do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, and before that, guys, I just want to do a prediction. Bentancur, he will score from outside of the box in the first 5 games he's playing with you.
Wow.
Okay.
Quite a prediction.
Love that.
Write it down. Write it down. If it happens, contact me.
We'll clip it up.
What
Don't you
about
worry.
Kulusevski? Any Kulusevski predictions?
I didn't woke up. This morning I didn't feel the prediction yet. But
Okay.
Bentancur, watch it.
Okay, we're watching the space. But where
Brilliant.
can people
And
find you?
If people they want to find me, I'm a bit everywhere on social media, but you can I think you can see it here below. G Just Juve. You can find me on YouTube where I'm really active with all the news in English every single morning with the papers review. Then I'm doing a lot of lives, of course. So you can find me there. It's the same tag on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, and so on and so on. If people are really interested in Juve, I'm also the official host of Twitch from the Juve channel, and that's Twitch Juventus, of course. But if you want to, on YouTube, come say hello and help me to grow as well. And guys, you are doing a fantastic job, really professional, really great, and it's beautiful to see also some people from other teams that are doing great jobs and that we can communicate between supporters for the love of football. That's really amazing.
Thank you so
very
much. Really kind words there.
Just quickly, I see people in the comments are saying Grand Beppe, so that's clearly what you've been called, the Grand Beppe. There are a lot of people calling you that. That's a great name, I have to say that. Going to start calling you that from now on. But brilliant, really great to meet you, and thanks for coming on, man.
Ciao, guys.
See you later.
Cheers.
Thank you. Really, really good insight there.
That was good, really great call. All the good stuff, really good stuff.
And you know what? Those comments that he's made has made me even more excited now for these
Definitely, especially when it comes to Kulusevski and what he could bring to us. I mean, obviously, Bentancur, I think when it comes to him, it's more about just adding depth to that midfield and adding more numbers and players that Conte can trust on, as in terms of really upgrading our options. But when it comes to Kulusevski, I really think he brings something different that we don't have, and I'm very excited to see what he can do when he puts on a Tottenham shirt.
All right, well, let's move on.
We've got some super chats
go
here.
on, you speak. Go on.
Essa Al-Shamari says, morning lads, do you think we'll get another signing before the deadline, and is Dembele a good signing? We'll get on Dembele in a minute, but in terms of will we get another signing? People saying it's unlikely. Other sources saying we are still pushing for some opportunities. But I think it's all dependent on outgoings, isn't it? It looks like Gil's going out, which we'll talk in a minute, and Ndombele. So that's why maybe there's 2 out, 2 in. Makes sense. Centre mid out, centre mid in, winger out, winger in.
Ali Gold did say this morning that we are looking for a right wing back, and even more so, obviously, if Doherty does end up going. But there's no talk about him going, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so whether we're stuck with him remains to be seen. I think at the moment, I wouldn't get your hopes up, but you never know. Maybe something can come from left field. Like these 2 transfers have come. Yeah, so exactly. I think a lot of stuff's going to be crazy the last day. Dark Sun G20, Dark Sun G21 says, will Bentancur and Kulusevski face Brighton?
They'll be eligible, that's for sure.
Yeah, they'll definitely be available. I don't know if they'll definitely go straight into the first team, knowing how Conte likes to do things. Probably not. But I can see them being on the bench for sure. Yedo from the Netherlands says, will Bentancur play Skip and Pierre out of starting 11?
Look, we're going to have to just wait and see how things pan out. I mean, it's very impossible to make a prediction right now, but I do imagine...
I think he'll just rotate them.
Yeah, I do imagine that he is going to be an upgrade on at least 2 out of the 3. I'm not sure about how he compares to Højbjerg, but look, it all remains to be seen. We need to wait until we can see them in close proximity for 90 minutes week in, week out to make a proper judgment on him, to be honest.
And they have to get used to a new league, new system and everything, a very demanding Conte. So I wouldn't get your hopes up and them just coming in and all guns blazing. Yeah. But definitely give them a bit of time. I reckon before the end of the season, you'll definitely be seeing them in the team. Anton Jepson says, Kulusevski is very overrated. 5 goals in 55 games. I mean, he hasn't been on great form, but I think there's mitigating circumstances, and I think he's still a very young player. So I don't think you can just purely say, oh, that's it, 5 goals in 55 games as a young player, and that means he's no good. But it's true. I think we have to definitely say that you have to be patient with him because he's young and he's might get time to build up that confidence. As Beppe said, he seems to have lost at Juventus.
Yeah, look, he needs time. Like I said, only 21 years of age, so time is very much on his side. And he's shown that he does have a high ceiling. He got Serie A Young Player of the Year a couple years back before he joined Juventus. So, I mean, if Antonio Conte can put him back on that trajectory, we've got a proper player on our hands.
Victor Mathiasson, big up to you, Victor. He says, as a Swede, I think Kulusevski is an amazing signing. He's strong, fast, explosive. He runs more than most. He fits exceptionally well as a right winger. Come on, you Spurs. That's really good to hear. And as I've said, obviously I haven't seen the Swedish. I don't watch the qualifiers or anything, but I did see him at the Euros, and I thought when he did play, I thought he was really, really good and looked really, really dangerous at the Euros.
I agree.
From what I saw of him. I Hate Arsenal says it's not just the individual player quality, but we need the right players at the right positions to strengthen the quality and depth of squad. Correct. But I think it's clear how we're dealing with the transfer window, where it's 1 in, 1 out in each position. That's what it seems, and we're getting players that Conte can more depend on.
Yeah,
and I think he definitely can more depend on Kulusevski than Cahill. That's just the reality.
That's for sure.
Not to say I don't think Cahill is quality. I just think right now
Kulusevski's just so much further on his development than
and physically you can see he's a different animal, even though they're not too far apart in age.
Yeah, they're not. They're really not. Which shows that Cahill has got a lot to do in his development.
Definitely. Rune LB says we should definitely buy Mæhle for right wing back, and Mæhle was brilliant at the Euros for Denmark. He did play left wing back though, didn't he, in the Euros? But he was
both though, can't he?
He was a right-footed left wing back, so it goes to show you could probably do both. I was very impressed with him, so I haven't seen how he's done this year. So I can't speak on that. But if we did get him in, I'd be happy.
Let's be honest, there are a lot of right wing backs that would be an upgrade on Doherty and Emerson right now.
A lot. Dinesh M, the last super chat, he says, has Bentancur shut the door on signing SCM in the summer? Well, you got to remember SARS coming back. He's probably going to be part of the team. I reckon Etty could go on another loan deal.
Yeah, though, with Sarr, I mean, he's hardly getting in the Mets team at the moment. He's not seeing any minutes at the AFCON. It seems as though his development has kind of like halted from last year, where he was like kind of like quite a permanent fixture in the Mets side last season.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be a case of another loan deal. We'll have to wait and see. In terms of us signing another centre mid in the summer, I wouldn't put it past us, because it depends how the centre mids now do from the end of the season. For example, if Winks doesn't carry on his form and he goes back to his level he was performing before, he could easily leave in the summer. Then we'll have to sign another one. Yeah. So I would say Bentancur signing now, but it doesn't mean. Depends as well if he wants to move to 3-5-2 next season. Maybe we need another centre mid anyway. So I wouldn't say it definitely shuts the door, but it definitely makes it more unlikely.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Ousmane Dembele now. There's been some talk that, well, let's start off with Ali Gold, as he says Barcelona Ousmane Dembele is one of the number of players that have been offered to Tottenham in the recent days. Shea Lugassi says Moussa Sissoko, this is not the Moussa Sissoko that used to play for us, by the way. Moussa Sissoko, who is Dembele's agent, offered the player to Tottenham. Sources at Spurs say they doubt there will be a deal, but they add that the club does not rule out, and they are thinking about the option, but time is running out. And Sami Mokbel says that Tottenham have been offered Dembele, who can leave the Nou Camp this month. Sources have rated a move to Tottenham as doubtful given the expenses attached, but as it stands, it's not being completely ruled out. Barca want 16 million in a transfer fee for the forward, but it's the player with he wants 8 million a season in terms of salary, and that would be the likely sticking point.
Yeah, I mean, this is one for me. With Kulusevski coming in, if we do say keep Bergwijn, I think right now it does seem a bit unnecessary to be splashing out big money on a player who has a really bad injury record over the past few years, and has definitely got attitude problems in terms of how he's been conducting himself at Barcelona. You've got to say that. So whether I would risk it, I mean, look, if he does come in through the door, I'm not going to say no to such a quality player. I just feel like, again, we're going to be spending fairly big money. He's, I thought, seeing as the sticking point at Barca is his wages, isn't it? He wants bigger wages, and he's probably on a lot. So whether we're going to give him to that,
yeah, he wants 8 million a year apparently.
Yeah. So I mean, do I see Tottenham giving him that? Probably not. And I think right now a winger, we've got Bergwijn, Lucas, we've got Kulusevski and Son. I mean, we're pretty good there right now. I'm not going to say no to improving and getting more options, and maybe if Bergwijn's going to be moved more centrally, then whatever. But I just feel like we've got Kulusevski now. Let's try our hardest to get, if we're going to push the boat out a bit, get a right wing back.
The only way this happens is if Bergwijn moves on, in my opinion. And there is talk of that, which we'll get into a bit later in the stream. But we're saying one in, one out. Hill's gone, Kulusevski's come in. If Bergwijn goes, I can see us making an offer for Dembele, to be honest. But that's the only; those are the only conditions really that I see it happening in.
Yeah, potentially. Maybe if Bergwijn leaves. But I guess even though there is talk, but it does still seem unlikely that's going to happen at the moment.
It does.
But I am pretty worried about it. And what I was worried about is going to sell Cahill and Bergwijn just for Kulusevski.
Yeah, that wouldn't be on.
But I don't think, even if we sell Bergwijn, we're actually going to get Dembele. I don't know. I reckon we might go for someone else. I don't know if we'll go for him specifically. I'm still skeptical of this deal.
Yeah,
there's too many difficult things against it.
And there might be a lot of clubs in for him in the last 24 hours of the window. I mean, he's a player that should attract quite a bit of interest with the talent he has. I, for one, if we were to sell Bergwijn, I'll be well up for getting him in. I think the talent he has, I mean, you kind of can't really turn it down if at such a good price at 16 million. If you're going to sell Bergwijn at something like 20-25 million and you're going to bring Dembele in for cheaper,
makes sense.
No-brainer.
Makes sense from that point of view. I'm just worried about him causing friction in the dressing room if he can't get on at Barca right now. If he's apparently part of the problem is he thinks he's bigger than the club or something like that, and he thinks he's more important than he is, and he's asking for the highest wages in the squad and all these things. And do we want that kind of attitude?
To Tottenham, it'll humble you a little bit. Do we want that kind of attitude in the dressing room? I don't know. But
I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I don't know. But I to be fair, you know, with Son, he's going to be 30 in the summer, and if we did get Dembele, and he'll definitely be very much like a long-term replacement for him.
Yeah. But look, that's the situation at the moment. It's very unlikely that we do make a move for him, but I guess there is over 24 hours to go left of the window, so we'll see how it plays out. But that's the Ousmane Dembele situation. Let's talk about Tanguy Ndombele. As there has been some sort of movement on him. Julian Maynard saying Tanguy Ndombele is heading to Lyon. Final details are under negotiation. It is now the most serious option for the current Tottenham midfielder. And RMC Sport follow on from that saying, unless the situation turns around, Ndombele will join Olympique Lyonnais on loan with an option to buy. And also, what's come out of that is that Giovanni Lo Celso, who actually they went for before Tanguy Ndombele, has rejected Lyon. We brought you the news yesterday that Lo Celso had an offer from Lyon. Tottenham accepted it, but they've rejected it. So they have gone for Ndombele now, and it looks as though Ndombele is heading back to Lyon.
It would be quite something if Lyon had both Ndombele and Lo Celso and started smashing out. That would be interesting. But in terms of Ndombele, so it looks like a loan with an option to buy, which is... I wonder how much that option to buy is, because you do wonder, because obviously how deals are structured in this day and age with installments and things like that. Maybe it could be a case where we give them an option of far less, and then we also maybe they knock off some of the money we owe them or something like that. Maybe something could be done there in terms of the money that we owe them for Ndombele, and they get him for very cheap in that sense.
To see how much we do owe them and what that all looks like.
Because I would assume, because there was a lot of rumours that it was 45 million plus add-ons that took it to 65, right? So I doubt he's made a lot of the add-ons. Probably hasn't made them. So maybe there's, let's estimate, say, between 15 and 20 million we could owe them.
Probably some of the add-ons were Champions League related as well.
Yeah, and appearances. He hasn't even made so many appearances, has he? Maybe it's like 100 appearances. After 100 appearances, this gets activated. Has he even made 100 appearances for us? So I don't even know. So if we could estimate, let's say there's 15 million outstanding we owe them. We could if we knock off the price or something. And all of a sudden, that's a bit of money could be saved there in a way. Anyway, in terms of Ndombele, going back to Lyon, it's a club he knows, obviously. That's where we signed him from, is where he was happiest. They know how to use him. He's going to be under less pressure there as well. And hopefully he can get that happiness back, which he's definitely lost at Tottenham. So good luck to him. It's obviously kind of a backward step considering... he moved on from Lyon 3 years ago, hoping to make that step up. Hasn't quite happened. So maybe it's going to be a case of him again proving himself. But it could be a good move for him. And it's also a very good replacement for Bruno Guimaraes for them as well, I would say.
Look, it's a player with amazing talent. Going back to where we signed him from. Look, I think it's... In terms of Lyon, I think it's a good move for them because they're getting rid of a top player and they're bringing in another top player that's already worked there in the past. So I think it's a good move for Lyon. In terms of Ndombele and in terms of moving his career forward, it is a bit of a step backwards. But sometimes when things don't work out, you need to take a bit of a step backwards to move forward again. So I think it's going to be a good move for all parties, to be honest. And I back him to do well back at Lyon. I really do. So that's Ndombele, that's Lo Celso. Let's talk about Bryan Gil now, as Romano has confirmed that Valencia are closing in on Bryan Gil loan deal with Tottenham, just waiting for the final green light from Spurs to complete paperwork and sign as soon as possible. And I believe there was an update in the last few seconds as well.
Yeah, from Romano.
Where's that one? And he says Bryan Gil set to join Valencia from Tottenham. Deal and confirmed. Loan move to be signed in the next hours after Spurs completed Kulusevski deal. And he says that Tottenham are in advanced talks with Lyon for Tanguy Ndombele, and Delhi to AC Milan rumours are wide off the mark.
That's a shame if that's the latter part. But in terms of Gil, Paul O'Keefe yesterday saying it's an 18-month loan deal.
Oh, really?
For Gil, as opposed to a 6 month. That's what he's claiming. He said 6 months with an option of a further year.
Right.
So could very likely turn into an 18-month deal. And now with the now with the rumours about Kulusevski from Damasio saying that's an 18-month loan deal, that kind of makes sense in a way. We're getting that's how things are working out. In terms of Bryan Gil, he needs the game time. He needs to really start developing his game from the starting point for me. So I think a loan deal is going to do him well. 18-month loan deal is a bit disappointing from the fact that we signed him for big money. And we're getting rid of him on an 18-month loan deal only after 6 months, and whether that leads to did they say an option to buy? No,
doesn't
it didn't
say anything. Yeah,
doesn't say anything about option to buy. So maybe we're still believing he can be a player for us in 18 months' time to come to the first team. I just don't think he's ready for the Premier League right now, which has been a bit of a disappointment. But I still think he's got a lot of quality if he can build himself up. The only thing is he's going back to La Liga. Where we know how he's a pretty decent La Liga player. I wouldn't say he's proven in La Liga, but he's proven he can perform and be influential in that kind of level in the league
as well. There,
yeah. So he did well there. In terms of the problem with Tottenham is it's not necessarily that he's not showing the quality. It's just that he can't really seem to get involved. He seems to be very much anonymous. He can't really seem to get on the ball and shield players and get past players. He seems to be just physically not able to at this point in the Premier League. And that's always been the biggest problem for him. So I do think it'll help his development going to Valencia for 18 months. And hopefully he comes back a better player. But I guess we'll have to wait and see if he does. Is this the last we're seeing of Gil at Tottenham, or will he'll come back?
Be, I've got a feeling it could be. I mean, him going to Valencia on loan. I mean, I don't think it's gonna. I mean, I just much prefer him to go to like an English club, get used to the English league. This one, he needs to bulk up a bit. Can you see him doing that in the Spanish league? Not really. I mean,
I think naturally, I think he's still fairly young. So at 20, I know he's 20, but I think naturally, if let's say he goes to Valencia, I don't know what their forward line options are off the top of my head, but let's say he does start regularly on a regular basis. I think naturally, physically, he will start to improve after 18 months, especially at that age, at 20, going into 21, 22. He'll definitely develop quite a bit physically. I don't think obviously he's like a short guy, so he's not going to be like that tall, strong like Kulusevski, but he can definitely develop phically with it in his own right.
Build to like Luka Modric,
or like Messi, something like that kind of build.
But like, I just can't see him. If it is an 18-month loan deal, I just can't see it working with us, to be honest. I think that it's a bit telling that is an 18-month loan deal, and I think that if he was planning to come, or if we were planning for him to come back, I think it would have been a bit of a shorter deal. 18 months doesn't really sit right with me. I would like Gil to be a figure at Spurs. I mean,
but no option to buy
him. Huh?
It depends to see if there's an option to buy. We don't know if there is an option to buy. Considering how much we spent on him, nearly 30 million or whatever, or 22 million plus Lamela, how much of a hit do we take for him after 6 months? Surely not that much of a hit, unless we really believe that he's never going to be a good player for us.
I don't know. It remains to be seen. But him going on
How much do you think an option to buy would be? 30 million, 25 million?
Probably about 20 to 25 million.
Just so that would indicate that we think that it's never going to work out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would indicate.
Well, that's a bit of a sudden. That's a bit of a decision. I would say we've reached too quickly. I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that if we were planning for him to come back, we would have maybe just offers didn't come in. But I thought we would have tried our best to get him to an English club, even if it was in the Championship. Just to get him used to English football, week in, week out, playing week in, week out. We've seen how it's worked for other players in the past. So I thought maybe if we were planning to use him, planning to have him in the future, that's what we would have done. And him going to Spain doesn't really work like that.
I still think if he plays regularly for Valencia for 18 months, he can definitely come back a better player. And I still think we can use him. We sign if players right now are smashing it out in La Liga at a decent age, it doesn't matter that he's playing in La Liga, so you can still consider him. It doesn't mean just because Gil is going off to La Liga doesn't mean he can't develop into a player who can play in the Premier League for me.
Agreed, but there's just more question marks there. Just still not getting used to the English football, going out to Spain where it's a much less physical league than it is in England. So I just think that's what his game is lacking the most, is that physical side. So I thought being in English football would just help him get to grips with that quicker.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how he does at Valencia. Because you've got to remember, at, where was it, Eibar, as much as he did well because in the circumstances, in the sense that he was at a low team, we still kind of only signed him on potential rather than what he's actually shown. Because as much as he did well there, he still only did well for the circumstance. He didn't actually proper smash it out 15 assists or something. He got 4 or 5 assists, didn't he? And 3 goals.
4 goals, yeah.
4 goals and 4 assists or something like that.
I don't know how the assists. Yeah.
So from that perspective, he did well, seeing as Eibar were a bad team.
Yeah, they were literally in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
They were one of the worst teams in La Liga that season.
Yeah, but he's yet to show that he can go into a good team or a team higher up in La Liga, start regularly and provide regular goals and assists. He hasn't shown that yet. Mm-hmm. So if he can go to Valencia and do that, that for me is enough. If he goes to Valencia and regularly gets 5 to 10 goals and 5 to 10 assists over a season at that age, that to me would show to me he could maybe come back to Tottenham a better player, more ready to contribute than he is now.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's completely spot on. But also, if he goes there and does that and still hasn't built into his body yet physically, he's going to come back here and need another loan in England to get him to grips with the English football and to get his body up to scratch with it. So
potentially,
I would have liked him to go there now. I think that would have been best for all parties if he was going to plan to stay here, or if we plan to.
Yeah,
keep
but
him.
Maybe Valencia is the best option of what's available to go to.
Well, you'd probably think so if that's where he's going. So. So that's that. Bryan Gil looks like he is going to Valencia. The last bit of news we have for you is Steven Bergwijn. As Fabrizio Romano said, Steven Bergwijn's deal between Spurs and Ajax is not off. Negotiations are still open and Tottenham still asking for 25 million euros. Would you make out?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried that we're going to sell him because I think if you you sign Kulusevski and take Bergwijn out, as much as you could argue you're improving the quality, I think in the short term, does it help us that much? Probably not, in terms of adding depth, especially if you take Gil and Bergwijn out, which obviously Gil looks on his way out now. So that would be a bit annoying if we were to get rid of Bergwijn and Gil and only bring in Kulusevski. That's what I'm worried about, because Kulusevski is costing X amount of money, and that kind of fits with how much money we're going to get for Bergwijn. So it kind of, from a logical, knowing Levy point of view, it makes sense we'll sell Bergwijn because we're not getting much money for Gil. It's only a loan deal. So it makes sense from a financial point of view. And if he wants to balance the books, Bergwijn out, Kulusevski in, that kind of makes sense from a financial point of view. But from a squad point of view, we need Bergwijn to continue to have that depth, because the reason why we're bringing Kulusevski is we're lacking numbers in attacking areas. Yeah. If we're just replacing him with Bergwijn, if we're just replacing Bergwijn with Kulusevski, we're not adding depth. We're just replacing one for another. And you could argue you're adding quality. We could also argue that Kulusevski might not be ready right now to contribute that much. So I wouldn't want to do that right now.
It doesn't make sense to me at all to get rid of Gil and Bergwijn and only bring in Kulusevski. It doesn't make sense. We're short as it is. If we're taking out Gil and bringing in Kulusevski, that's a player that hasn't been playing much to bring in a player that can play quite a bit, you would imagine. If you take out Bergwijn, he's a player that Conte has already said he's a player that he can rely on. He's also said he's a player that can play second fiddle to Harry Kane to give him a bit of rest here and there. So I think if we're getting rid of Bergwijn, I got to believe that we're going to bring in someone else, whether it be Ousmane Dembele or someone else. But if we are going to get rid of Bergwijn, we have to bring in another attacking option. We have to.
Yeah, I'm just worried we're not. I'm worried we'll get rid of Bergwijn. We'll justify it with, we had to bring in Kulusevski and we had to balance the books, and that's why we're getting rid of Bergwijn. and that's what I'm scared about. And I hope that's not the case, because the squad looks a lot stronger with both of them rather than just one of them.
Exactly.
And that's what I want. And especially with Bergwijn off the back of a good performance against Leicester, and he really seemed to get into grips against Chelsea as well. I think he is starting to maybe get more ready to make an impact in this first team and provide another option for us, especially actually since Conte's come in. His form's been pretty decent in general anyway. So I want to keep him. I also think if he has another good 6 months, and if we do generally want to send him, or he does really want to leave, his value will be a lot higher in 6 months' time if he continues the form he's doing, even if it's an extra 10 million than it is now. Because right now we're talking about 25 million, which is pretty much what we spent for him 2 years ago. And that, and if he does have, let's say, between now and the end of the season, he gets another 3 goals and 3 assists, let's say, that's not even that much, but let's say he does that, his value probably rises another 10 million. You know what I mean? That's the truth, because he's young, he's still got a lot of scope to grow, and he's got potential. So maybe 30-35 million wouldn't even be that outrageous for him in 6 months' time. So I would keep him on. I wouldn't sell him. He provides another option, and we need the depth. And all of a sudden, if we keep Bergwijn and get Kulusevski, all of a sudden we got Son, Bergwijn, Lucas, Kulusevski, and Kane, and all of a sudden the options look a bit deeper than they did before the window started, even though we're getting rid of Cahill, because I think Kulusevski is much more of a good option than Cahill. I didn't really like with Cahill in the team. I didn't even think of him as like yeah, he was there, but I didn't consider him like an option Conte can rely on. But Kulusevski, I do.
Yeah, exactly, and that's absolutely spot on. So I think you have to bring one in if you're considering selling Bergwijn. But in my opinion, I would keep Bergwijn along with Kulusevski, ship Cahill out on loan to give him some first team football week in, week out. And I think our attacking options are actually looking quite strong.
Yeah.
So that's that one.
Before we get into some super chats, I want to read out this tweet from Romano. He just tweeted, 10 minutes ago about the Ndombele and Lo Celso situation. He says, talks between Tottenham and Lyon for Tanguy Ndombele are now advanced and progressing to the final stages. I understand that Lyon want to include an option to buy, not a mandatory option in the deal. I'm assuming Tottenham want a mandatory option, knowing them. Lo Celso deal to Lyon has collapsed due to the player's decision, and he hopes to join Villarreal. So it looks like Lo Celso could very well be heading back to Spain to Villarreal, and I think that would be a good move for him.
If Lo Celso goes, we look for another CM.
If Lo Celso goes, do we look for another CM? I reckon no. I just have a feeling. I reckon it won't be. I reckon he might just say we're from now, because if you look at the options, all of a sudden, as before I said, our best options are for a 3-5-2, and now we're all of a sudden, if you're looking at the business we're doing now, definitely the best formation is 3-4-3. You have to say, you have to say that now. So from that point of view, if it is a 3-4-3, he only needs 4 centre mids, because you've got 2 for each position, 2 players. So you could get rid of Ndombele, Dele, and Ndombele. And in terms of the depth on those positions, it's not actually.
If you bring in another central midfielder, if Dele or Lo Celso, if both of them go, if you bring in one more central midfielder, then it gives us a bit more options to play different formations.
Correct. If we don't replace him, we're pretty much saying, okay, we're playing 4-3-4-3 every game pretty much. And whereas before we had a bit of flexibility where we could change to 3-5-2.
I think if these players go, there'll be a lot of rumours, and I think we will try and get someone in. But if we do get one in, is another story.
Yeah,
I do think we'll try.
I've got a feeling we won't. I've got a feeling we might be done with centre mids with just Bentancur. I might be wrong, but that's just the feeling I get. But I hope I'm wrong. I want to bring someone else in. But what do you reckon? If it is, do you reckon again it'll be another similar, like an Amrabat or something?
Yeah, I mean the rumours are. I mean even last night when the Bentancur deal looked like it was going to happen. I mean other sources were talking about we're still in for Douglas Luiz and we're going to be bidding on Douglas Luiz for 30 million or something like that.
So you're thinking it's not a replacement for Lo Celso. It's a similar kind of dependable. That's what he likes in the centre mids. So, yeah. Maybe. Yeah, you might be right. I would definitely take another one and have another option as well. And that'll be good as well, because in terms of 3-5-2, we now have Kulusevski and Kulusevski, Bergwijn and Son, who now look like they could play a central role with Kane in the two up top.
But Kulusevski and Lucas can actually play in a 3-5-2 in the kind of advanced position in the
If you're playing like that, yeah, you could also do that. So it does give us a bit of flexibility from that point of view. But if you're playing a 3-5-2 in terms of three in the middle, defensively, in terms of you're playing the two strikers up top, Kulusevski could fill in there, Bergwijn can play centrally, and Son. I don't like Lucas as much up front, but
I like him in the hole though.
Yeah, that's all right. But we have three players there in Bergwijn, Son, and Kulusevski who could potentially fill in there. So still gives us a bit of flexibility. I'd like, if we do get rid of Celso, yeah, I'd like to bring one in. But whether we do, we have to wait and see.
All right.
But still, yeah, right wing back's the main one, isn't it? We need that.
Yeah, so that is the state of play at the moment. Just a quick update from the Australian Open final today. Medvedev was 2 sets up, but Rafa Nadal has taken it 3-2. Unbelievable stuff out in Sydney. Melbourne, sorry. And yeah, I think it's time to start bringing on some...
Wow, and just quickly, apparently... according to Ornstein, Barca are on the verge of signing Aubameyang on loan until the end of the season.
Hell. Surely Arsenal have a striker lined up.
It says main issues to resolve salary, but would be major for Arsenal. They're not charging any loan fee or optional obligation to buy, just a straight up 6-month loan deal.
Just here you go, have Aubameyang.
And then he goes on to say no incoming deals are close for Arsenal.
Wow.
So
if they get rid of Aubameyang, you know they're rejecting offers for Nketiah as well, with 6 months left in his deal. This is mad. They're going through for the rest of the season with Lacazette and Nketiah as their strikers.
Yeah.
That is
and
awful.
with us making good signings, maybe this is could be very telling in the top 4 race.
Yeah. Whatever happened to Barca having no money and can't make signings?
Who knows? I don't know. It's a myth. Anyway,
let's start bringing on some guests. Let's start with Adam William Cahill. Just put the camera on Sim. I'm just going to pop off a second.
Adam, how we doing, my friend?
Well, that's the story, Samuel.
Well, I'm a lot better mood than I was maybe before the weekend started, you know, with all the Traore falling through and Diaz falling through. I was wondering where we go from here, but it looks like we've got ourselves together pretty quickly and we're getting some deals through the door. First of all, let's get your reaction to the potential deals of Kulusevski and Bentancur. What are your thoughts on those two potential signings?
I'm really excited. Like it doesn't make any sense to me to for the fans to be. I don't think that it makes sense for the fans to be despairing because the Diaz deal didn't go through, the Traore deal didn't go through. I think this is the best option that of everything that we've heard so far. This is we've ended up with the best possible outcome, I believe, it's because Diaz may be the better player of all the ones that we've been linked with, but we don't need a player in that position. And Adama Traore is completely untested as a right wing back, and obviously we found out he doesn't even want to play there. So we brought in 2 players now from an incredible team like Juventus. They at the end of the day, they might not have been getting as much game time there as we would like. But I think that they can come to an Antonio Conte team. I think he can absolutely revolutionize them. We can see the talent that they do have. So I think it's absolutely amazing. And I maintain that people were giving me abuse over how optimistic I was. Oh, this guy is so naive, blah, 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 blah. But I always felt like with Paratici doing what he's doing, this is the way he works. You know, everyone's kind of concerned, this is just a Daniel Levy thing. It's like, no, Paratici, he always gets deals going, loads of different irons in the fire at the exact same time, and then right at the very end he decides, okay, these are the guys I'm going to hit, bang, 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 and that's what we've ended up with. And so it's not even deadline day yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's the day before. So I'm very, very happy with the way things have turned out. I think that those are 2 of the best players we could have possibly got. I was comparing as well. Like I know we were also linked with Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. Yeah, and I think Bentancur is definitely the better of the two as well. I know he's not Premier League tested, but statistically he just seems like he's a better player. And again, under Conte, I think he'll be even better than he probably end up playing better than he's ever played. So I'm really excited, and there is still an opportunity again, you know, for us to pull something out of the bag between now and midnight tomorrow. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm still incredibly excited. And I would love to know, I don't know if Brian Daigle is watching, but I'd love to know if he has decided to eat a little bit of humble pie and join the optimism train now
Look, Adam, I told everyone to be patient. I told everyone, be patient, calm down. The signings are coming.
Yeah,
but Adam, what obviously I don't want to speak for Brian, but what would you say to people? What would you say to people who would say we've missed out on our top targets because we dawdled for too long, and now we're panicking at the end of the window and raiding Juventus's bench for players? What would you say to that?
I will maintain what I said about this is the best deal we could have possibly gotten, because again, Adama Traore, untested in right wing back, didn't even want to play there. Diaz, we don't need a left-sided player. We've got Sonny. So what we needed was somebody to play out on the right, which we got in Kulusevski. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I have him in my Spurs team on FIFA. Just for anyone out there saying he just makes decisions based on FIFA. Well, there's a little bit of involvement in that area for sure. No, but I genuinely think that he's going to be class, and you know, like, we're playing Moura out on the right, but Moura is a right-footed player. Like, Kulusevski's left-footed; he's going to be able to get the goals in from that position. Bentancur, again, you know, I think he's stronger than any of the centre mids that we have at the moment. So I don't believe that it's a case of dropping the ball where, you know, because we didn't strike sooner with the other players. I think that these are the best of all the ones that we've been linked with so far, and then there's still potential for, like, apparently Conte still wants a striker and a right wing back. It might happen between now and tomorrow, you never know, but if it doesn't, I think this is a good window, and then we'll see what happens in the summer. But and then you guys already mentioned Arsenal not doing any business. I think that the top four spot, we've never been stronger in terms of our the likelihood it is that we'll take that position by the end of the season.
In terms of Kulusevski, obviously he's a 21-year-old forward player who's hasn't had the best of times this season for Juventus. But what about him excites you? Why do you think he can come to Tottenham and make a big impact? And do you think it's going to be an impact in the short term, or do you think it's more of a long-term thing with him?
I would say long term because of his age, and to be fair, like, I don't watch the Italian league, so it's not as though I've seen a lot of him. It's basically been mostly highlight reels. But the fact that you can see he's like his short passing and his long passing is incredible. He's able to put the ball in the back of the net. He's able to piss past people. You know, he's able, like, he dummies very well, and he's got the pace. So he's got a little bit of everything and especially considering that we haven't got any players that you could say have those same skills as him. Again, playing Lucas Moura out on that side, Moura has the pace, and I think, you know, obviously he's doing a lot better in front. Like, he's striking has gotten a lot better since Conte's come in. But you know, he doesn't really have the passing ability. He's constantly trying to beat players. He's not a great crosser of the ball. Kulusevski has an awful lot more to give, I think. And again, you know, he's 21, so I think he's one for the future as well as, like, yeah. And I would agree with you, and Sim, in your call for patience. We can't expect him to come in and set the world on fire immediately. But I do think that it is an immediate improvement to the team, but possibly even better for the long term.
Well, Romano has just tweeted 3 minutes ago and says the deal has been signed. Kulusevski and Tottenham have both signed the deal, and the paperworks are now being prepared for Rodrigo Bentancur as well.
18-month loan with a buy clause that could become mandatory. So interesting that he said 18-month loan, not a 6-month loan, which maybe people initially thought. In terms of
delays the payments, though, doesn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. In terms of Bentancur, Adam, a lot of people are complain about the style of midfielder that we're looking at the moment when it comes to, like, Amrabat or Douglas Luiz or Bentancur, in terms of, we already have Højbjerg, we have Skip, we have Winks. Why are we bringing in another player who seems to be of a similar mould? And Bentancur definitely seems to be a player, although he might be an upgrade, he definitely, in terms of attributes and what he's good at, does seem to be a fairly similar player. And I was talking to Ben before in terms of what I wanted. I wanted maybe a Neves or a Jorginho, something, and obviously not those specific players, but that kind of mould of player, passer in the centre of the park, who, like, dictates play and stuff like that. But you know, seeing as I'm not Antonio Conte, this is clearly what the type of midfielder Conte wants. Should we be happy that we're getting what Conte wants and not what we want as a fan base in that sense?
Yeah, I would absolutely 100%. I've maintained from the very beginning, whatever Conte wants, that's what we should be behind. It doesn't matter what it is. And I think that it's clear from these signings that I think he wants to stick with the 3-4-3. I think the reason why I was exactly on the same train as you, where I would have liked to have seen it. We still haven't got our Eriksen replacement, and I would have been on that buzz as well. And I think the reason why we still haven't seen that is because he's sticking with the 3-4-3 at least for the moment. So to have the players, so what we've got to be able to rotate in the middle of the pitch now is we've got Winks, Skip, Højbjerg, and Bentancur. If we're always playing with two centre mids, that's pretty decent to be able to rotate. I'd definitely like an upgrade on that again during the summer. But I'd be happy with that, especially now that the only thing that will concern me is we've got 5 players that we can play in the front 3 positions now, and we can rotate them. And we have that in Kane, Son, Kulusevski, Mora, and Bergwijn. But if Bergwijn goes, that's going to be a big issue, because again, if we're doing the 3-4-3, we need the players to be able to rotate in that front 3, and Bergwijn needs to be there. Cool. I think Bergwijn absolutely needs to be part of the team. If he's not there, why are we thinking of selling him now?
I completely agree. I mean, the only thing I can think of is if we are looking to bring one more in. I mean, there has been the rumours about Ousmane Dembele and stuff like that. Barca are trying to get rid of Ousmane Dembele. I mean, the only way I see Ousmane Dembele coming in potentially is if we get rid of Bergwijn. That's the only thing I can see, really.
Yeah, but I mean, is he going to be another Ndombele where he's going to end up being really difficult? I don't know anything about him, but all I'm hearing is that he's got attitude problems. There's a personality, thing where is that going to end up being another issue where we're saddled with someone who's not who isn't right for the team and then ends up causing us problems. I don't know if it's the same situation, but that's the instant fear that I'm getting, is that it's If he's got an attitude problem, it's like, oh, we already have one of those guys. No, please God, he's going to Leon.
One out, one in. That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, please God, that's not the case. I mean, if we get him in, there's no denying his talent. You know what I mean? Like, I've only seen the stats, but apparently, he is an incredible player. But it's just what kind of personality is he? If he's going to come in and he's going to knuckle down and he's going to perform incredibly well, then obviously I'm not again. At the end of the day, whatever Conte wants, Conte gets. As far as I'm concerned, if Conte says I want this guy, okay, fine, he can deal with it.
Exactly,
and that'll be that. But let's not lose Bergwijn unless we're getting someone like him in, though.
I want to get your opinion on Bryan Gil. It looks as though he is on his way to Valencia on an 18-month loan deal, is the rumours. What do you make out of that, him going to Spain on an 18-month loan deal?
It's not great in the sense that he's not getting Premier League experience. And at the end of the day, we've been saying consistently maybe he needs to put on a bit of weight to be able to manage the kind of the pressure of who he's up against in the Premier League. Is he going to be encouraged to do that going over to Spain? And then if he's getting more game time, fine. But again, it's not Premier League time. It's only a loan, so if he comes back to us when he's got even more experience under his belt, he could still end up being incredibly effective in the squad. He's another one of those players where he'd probably be. I mean, I've said that he could play left wing back and play second fiddle to Reggie, but he can also play in the front 3. So I think that when he comes back, as long as he's getting plenty of game time, it could end up beneficial. But it is a strange one considering it's not a Premier League team that he's going to. So that would be the only downside to it.
If this is the only business we're doing, Gil and Ndombele out, Kulusevski and Bentancur in, what would you rate this window?
I'd give it an 8.
8, wow.
Yeah, because I think we're strengthening areas of the squad where we're weak. That's the most important thing. I still reckon that Emerson could still come on strong in the right wing back position before the end of the season if we coach him in that. I think he's very strong defensively, but if we coach him more in terms of his crossing and passing, I think that he could come on quite strong in that position. It all depends on how much effort he puts into doing that. And as I say, we've already got 5 players now that we can rotate up in the front 3 positions. I would give it an 8 in the sense that I think it guarantees us top 4. If it guarantees us top 4, how could it be any less?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you think the signings out a right wing back would guarantee that? Do you?
I think we're guaranteed it now already. I don't think we need the right wing back to be guaranteed. I think top four is ours now. We'd need to really mess up to lose top four, and I don't think that'll happen under Conte. I think he's the guy to get us there. And who knows? Maybe even the FA Cup.
All right, Adam.
Always positive,
today.
Adam. Love
all
it.
Smiles today. That's what we like to see. But thanks for coming on today. 2 new signings today. How many are we going to get in before the end of the window?
Oh, will we get one tomorrow? Potentially. I don't know. I'd say this is it, to be honest. But I'm happy with this, and please, like all the Spurs fans need to keep the optimism up, because this is we're on the Conte train now.
All right, big up, Adam. Thanks for coming on, bro, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Let's read some super chats from Jay. Jay Wydham says, Brighton in for Rodin. Maybe we can do a swap deal plus cash for Lamptey. Yes, please. I wouldn't mind that. RRK.
Let's offer them 30 million and Joe Rodon.
Just see what they say.
Actually, you know what? Let's offer them 25 million Joe Rodon and Matt Doherty.
Yes, please.
That would be great.
RRK says, does the activity in the window give you confidence for a good summer window where we spend money and buy established players rather than Bentancur?
Sorry, what was that?
Does the activity in this window give you confidence of a good summer window where we spend money and buy established players rather than Bentancur?
Look, I don't want to get overhyped here just with 2 players coming in, but I do think we will do good business in the summer. But we all just need to stick our minds on this season. Let's solidify our place in the top 4 if we can. Let's try get a right wing back in from now until the end of the transfer window, and then let's see what happens from there. But it's definitely a good start, that's for sure, these 2 signings.
Yeah, but when it comes to the summer, there's a lot of talk about this mythical summer window. What summer we're going for the summer, but surely it's all dependent on whether we're in the Champions League or not, in terms of what targets we're getting for, how much we're willing to spend, all these kind of things.
Of course it is.
And if we don't try our hardest now to get to the Champions League, it's going to hurt our business in the summer. So all this stuff, like we can't. Well, look, we are doing business now, but all this stuff when people say the summer's the big one and all this stuff, I'm like, well, we need to go now.
The big one if this one goes right.
Exactly, it's only the big one if we're in the Champions League. Otherwise, it's just going to be another transfer window where we're hearing from the club, oh, we have to not spend as much because of this reason, not enough funds for the Champions League, and players are going to be rejecting us and all that kind of stuff. So we need to get now.
Personally, I mean, I'm going to ask everyone what they're rating this window. Me personally, I think I would give it a 6 so far. As it stands, with those 2 players going out, these 2 players coming in, I'd give it a 6. And if to boost that up, if we bring in a competent, good right wing back, that's an upgrade on what we got. I think that pushes it up maybe to like an 8, in my opinion. And then to complete a 10 out of 10 window, we need another striker.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think for me, I would say. If we were to get rid of Rodin or Tanganga and bring in a centre back who can compete with Dyer and Davis, yeah, then I think that would definitely boost up if we get a right wing back and a centre back. I think we have actually now with Kulusevski, Son, Bergwijn, and Kane. There's enough options now up front for me, as long as we keep Bergwijn for now anyway. Not necessarily in the summer, but for now till summer, there's enough options. If we can get a centre back, I think I'll prioritise that. Obviously, a right wing back is the biggest thing. Just wait one sec before we bring on the next guest. Just another super chat here from Scorpions Fan for Life. I fear Dembele situation to Ndombele attitude-wise.
Yeah, look, it could be, but we don't know the whole situation. We see stuff on social media here and there. We see stuff on social media here and there about, Ousmane Dembele, about his attitude and stuff like that. But you never know what can happen under a new manager in new environment and stuff like that. So I wouldn't chuck Dembele to the curb straight away. I think he's a top quality player with a massive high ceiling. And if Conte can get him playing, I mean, what a signing that is. It really is an unbelievable signing if Conte can get him playing. I'm hearing rumours that apparently Chelsea might be looking at him because obviously Tuchel had him at Borussia Dortmund. So that could be...
That'd probably make me more.
Well.
Yeah, I think that'd make more sense if he's like comes in and he plays instead of like Ziyech or Hudson-Odoi. He's an upgrade on them, probably, isn't he? So that'd make a lot of sense for Chelsea.
Yeah, but if he goes into Chelsea and starts playing well, you know what the whole fan base is going to be like. Oh, why didn't we just get him in? 60 million was such a steal. We could have got him. Blah 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 blah. But look, I think that he would be a good signing, Ousmane Dembele. I think with a player of that quality comes available, I think it's very hard to turn down. But I just don't think we're going to sign him unless we do get rid of Bergwijn.
I agree with that. We are going to have another special guest come on very, very shortly. So I'm hesitant to bring on another guest just in case he comes on right now, unless we can just...
in a minute, hopefully.
So do we go to another guest and then bring him straight, or maybe bring that guest back? Or do we just wait? We're going to wait a minute for him?
Let's just wait 1 minute, see if he comes. And if not, then we'll bring on our next guest. But let's see if there's been any new stories breaking in the last while. I mean, the thing with Arsenal is nuts to me. It's nuts to Arsenal. How the hell can they be getting rid of Aubameyang and not bringing in another striker? It just doesn't make sense to me. And they're short as it is.
Because even with Aubameyang, we've seen it a few times. For example, if you remember, obviously right now with Aubameyang, it's not going well for him and Arsenal. Obviously, relationships are broken down, and it's going very badly. Right? I'm not saying that he's playing well or anything, but with him leaving, it takes away that potential of him being reintegrated into the squad and coming back into things and patching up that relationship. And without that potential happening, where are the goals coming from? Unless they sign a striker between now and the end of the season, Lacazette's never been the best goal scorer. So unless they have that potential of Aubameyang coming back, like a bit like how when Tevez fell out of Mancini completely, right? And then they tried to get rid of him in that January and they didn't, and he stayed. And then in the second half of the season, they patched things up, and because he came back into the team, they probably won the league that year because he was able to score a few goals late in the season, and that was it. But with Aubameyang, if they're getting rid of him and not bringing anyone in, it's like then you're relying on Lacazette and Nketiah for your goals. And will they get enough goals in the second half? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
But we do have our guest is here ready to come on now. Let's bring him on. Massive great friend of the channel, and that is Mr. Romeo Agresti, a Juventus correspondent. Romeo, how are we doing today?
Ciao, boys. I'm very good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, very good.
To see you,
finally
Romeo.
Getting 2 signings over the line. So finally, day 30 here.
Yeah, guys, I told you in the summer that I was ready to become a Spurs correspondent at goal.com. That's true at all. That's true.
Yeah, and we were dying for Tottenham to get some business down with Juventus. We were hoping for a Dybala, but we're going to have to settle for Kulusevski and Bentancur. First of all, let's just tell us about the deal for Kulusevski at the moment. How's that coming along?
So I think that in these hours is set to fly to London to undergo his medical tests with Spurs. Done deal. He will sign on loan, 18 months on loan. There will be a buy clause, but everything is okay. And according to my sources, is very happy to joining not Arsenal. Tottenham. Sorry for that.
Don't mistake, Romeo. Don't make that.
We're not getting gazumped again, are we? Oh God!
Don't kill me, guys. Don't kill me. And he's full of joy because Tottenham was his first choice in these last hours. He had some contacts in the last days with Everton. There was an interest by Arsenal, but his first choice was Tottenham because Antonio Conte knows him very well because he wanted him when he coached at Inter, and you know that Fabio Paratici was the man that worked to buy him when he was at Juventus.
There's a lot of kind of anxiety seeping into the Spurs fan base with Paratici saying that, oh, he's doing his old club favours and bringing in players that are sitting on the Juventus bench or not really liked by the Juventus fan base. I mean, how is Kulusevski, in your opinion, as a player, and will he be an asset to Tottenham?
I think that, guys, he has a huge potential. And he was not able at Juventus to show what he's able to do. And for this reason, Juventus have accepted to sell him in January. But he's young. He's 21, so he can still improve. I'm pretty sure that with Antonio, he will improve. He will achieve this goal. He can play as a forward in 4-3-3. So he can help Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, Son. I think that is the perfect one for you. Of course, he's young. He needs time to understand the culture of English football, the new city, the new language. But it's a very good signing. And with Antonio, I'm sure that he will show great things.
Yeah, and you said about it's an 18-month loan deal with an obligation to buy. Obviously, that we're hearing it's only if certain obligations, certain clauses are met. If, for example, if Tottenham get Champions League, or about appearances. Right? What are the specifics of that? So, what can you tell us about those specifics?
I think that the first condition is that Tottenham will take a place in the Champions League for the next season, and the second one is appearances. His matches with Tottenham until the end of the season. These two things.
So it has to be both of them, or it has to be either of them?
I think both.
Okay, so Tottenham get Champions League and over 50%.
Yeah.
And for these reasons, I will support Tottenham, of course. That was my favorite team in England before these two signings. And now we have to push these guys to get a place in the Champions League. But the things are very, very good. They have to play 2 matches to recover 2 matches. So
Yeah,
I think that,
exactly. And
what's your opinion, Romeo, on Kulusevski in terms of him within the Juventus team? Are you happy to see the back of him, or do you think that you've let him go a bit too early?
I think that his time here at Juventus was over because there are a lot of players now. We have to sign Vlahovic. There is Dybala, Bernardeschi, Ken. So it was impossible for him to show what he's able to do. But I think that in terms of characteristics of skills, is perfect for the Premier League because he's a technical player, he's a fast player, and with Antonio, with his idea of football, I think that he can do great things. I'm pretty sure. I think that he's better for the Premier League than for the Serie A.
Oh, that's very interesting. Moving on from Kulusevski to the other deal. 2 deals now. Bentancur looks set to sign for Tottenham. What can you tell us about that prospective deal and the specifics of that?
Guys, I was not a big fan of Bentancur because he played for 5 seasons here and he didn't grow up. So I think that he's not a technical player. He's an aggressive player. He can do the right balance to the midfield. He's very, very smart in terms of recover the ball. But I like the quality midfielders. But I think that if Conte wants Bentancur, it's because he thinks that is the perfect one to improve his midfield. So he's a good player for the Premier League because he's a warrior. Never give up, recover the ball, to make proud the supporter. And he's a good player. In my opinion, he's not a top player at all.
And in terms of the structure of the deal, how much Tottenham are paying and that kind of stuff, what's that looking at?
I think that we are around 24 million euros, including bonuses.
Okay, that's not too bad. And when you're looking at the Spurs midfielders, Harry Winks, Ollie Skip, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, how does he compare to them? And also, how does he compare with Sofian Amrabat, who also was heavily linked with Spurs?
I think that Bentancur is even better than Amrabat. Bentancur is a player of his national, so he has the right experience to do this step in the Premier League, and I think that you will appreciate him because he's a player that he he does until the end what he can do. And but of course, I thought that Tottenham were going to sign a class player in terms of quality, and Bentancur is not this profile.
And do you think, so it looks like these two deals are all wrapped up. Do you think that, in terms of in the future, Tottenham were very heavily interested in Weston McKennie? Do you think that deal in the future can no longer happen?
It's not for sale, bro, because you are smart. We have just two good midfielders. The first one is Manuel Locatelli, the second one is Weston McKennie. I can tell you that Fabio Paratici has tried to open a negotiation for McKennie at the beginning of this transfer window, but for Juventus it was not for sale because he's doing very well, he's improving, he scores, he makes assists. So I don't think that Juventus and Tottenham will open a negotiation for him in the summer. But never say never, because in the last week I didn't believe that Tottenham were going to sign two players from Juventus in this transfer window. Amazing. And
as much as we have to thank you, maybe Juventus have to thank Tottenham, because we're giving you money to get Vlahovic, and you're taking Vlahovic away from Arsenal. So this is all very, very good news, right? Everyone wins.
Yeah. I told you that Fabio Paratici is the best sporting director in the world. He has Juventus to buy Vlahovic. Now Juventus today will close the deal for Denis Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Juventus are going maybe to sign Nandez from Cagliari on loan. But I think that for both sides, it's a good deal, because Kulusevski and Bentancur under Antonio Conte, they can improve. Paratici knows both very well. They are the good players for the Premier League. Of course, they need the time. Because we are not talking about two champs. Maybe Kulusevski could become in the future a champion, but Bentancur is a normal midfield, but is a useful midfield.
I just want to ask you, just before we let you go, about Dybala, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about his contract and him not signing. We saw him score that goal and look straight up to Pavel Nedved in the technical area at Juventus. What is going on with there, and is there opportunities for him to leave Juventus?
So, mate, it's a strange case, because he had a verbal agreement in October for the renewal. Then he didn't sign the contract. According to my sources, his priority is to stay at Juve, because his agent, Jorgen Thun, at the beginning of the February, he come back in Turin and will meet again the management, the board of Juventus. Never say never. I think that he wants to stay, but maybe Juventus wants to reopen a new negotiation in terms of salary, and but at the end of the story, I think that he will stay.
And also, actually, one quick one: Alvaro Morata. That was a quick rumor that Tottenham made a loan bid, and is he leaving before the end of this window, Alvaro Morata? Do you think?
I think that he will stay until the end of the season, but then he will come back at Atletico Madrid, and he has to write new pages of his career, because Juventus are not going to confirm him because they bought Vlahovic. So maybe it could become another name for Antonio Conte and Fabio Paratici, because Conte, if I remember well, he was his coach at Chelsea, and of course Paratici has worked to buy him from Real Madrid. So maybe next season he will play again in the Premier League, but he will not stay at Juventus.
Brilliant. Romeo, always great to speak to you, my friend. We're still waiting for you to come to London for that beer. We're still waiting.
Yeah, guys. I hope to come there to see a match, and of course I will text you before I will going to London.
Looking forward to it, Romeo. Thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys.
We'll see you soon, Romeo. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Always great getting Romeo Agresti on the channel.
Great stuff.
Really
good
great
stuff.
insight into all things Juventus. Did some more super chats come through while...
A few. One from Santrup Kandrashevska. He would know There was no message of super chat, but thank you. And Santush, Santush, I think, Gunawarden says, any possibility of Max Aarons, other right back targets? Would you take a Max Aarons at this point?
Yes, I would.
Better than Doherty, I guess.
I mean, I'll probably take on anyone at right wing back at the moment.
Take Aurier back at this point?
Yeah, I'll probably take Trippier back at this point.
Yeah,
as well.
take Trippier back. Take anyone. Stephen Kelly.
Right, now let's draw the line there. I'll take Kyle Walker-Peters back at this stage.
I would take Kyle Walker. Honestly, I would take Kyle Walker-Peters back at this stage. He's actually not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see if we can get Doherty out the door before now at the end of the window. We'll see. Honestly, if we were serious about it, we'd just get one in anyway and tell Doherty to hell with you, mate.
Yeah.
Nothing. No, that's what I would do. But I don't think Levy would do that, unfortunately.
All right, well, it's time to get some more guests on, and let's go to George. George, how are we doing today,
Hey,
mate?
George.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, a bit better now. Now it's seeming like we're starting to do some business, get some signings through the door. Are you happy with the business being done today?
I'm happier with the news, definitely. I mean, I have to say I've been really busy this month, so it's been a struggle to try and get on and have a look at any footage on these two players. So I'm not Kulusevski. I think was he in the Euros? I just recall hearing the name, but
He was for Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of recall the name, but whether I was impressed when I saw him or not, or whether he was just another player, I don't really remember too much. But I mean, on the profile that you're giving, and your previous guests as well,
Romeo, yeah.
Both the Italians seem to be saying similar things, and it seems to fit into what we need. So, speed and aggression to try and get the sort of get the focus off really other teams attacking us and being a little bit more defensive. I mean, I think I've said before, you looked at Spurs against Chelsea, and I mean, it just seemed as though they could push the buttons whenever they wanted. There was very little for them to think about with their waves of attack. It was definitely us trying to stem the tide, and so it sounds good. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So let's wait, get them in. I think you mentioned before whether they would be sort of in for the Brighton game. I think that they may well be. It's a potential trophy for this season. And although I do hear you talking about top four, I think Conte may well decide to try and go down the route of trying to win the FA Cup. I certainly hope so. If these are Conte signings, which on the face of it, that's what it would seem to be. So I think I'm happier in that we're getting in Conte signings, which would suggest that maybe he will stick around longer, because that was my main concern, that we would, we'd see him walk and ultimately, here we go again, sort of thing. Let's all start the process rolling. So yeah, I would say I'm happier today.
Yeah, and in terms of Bentancur, he does seem to be a player of similar mould in terms of attributes of what we do already have. So from that point of view, are you disappointed maybe we're not looking for a different option midfield who maybe has maybe offers something different to what we have at the moment? Or clearly what Conte is looking for is another kind of that style of midfielder, judging by who we've been going for. So from that point of view, are you just happy Conte is maybe getting what he wants through the door?
Yeah, I think I'm just happy that Conte's getting his players in. So I'm, like I said, I've not seen too much footage. I think the last footage that I had to look at was Amrabat to check him out. And again, he seemed like quite a sharp passer of the ball, which again is something that we need. So if he's in a similar mold, I think it's an additional quality, because I fear for Højbjerg in there. From what I've seen so far this season, there's just been too much uncertainty, too much wayward passing. I don't, I'm not questioning his commitment in any way, shape, or form, but there's, I think, what is being asked of him may not be quite fitting with his skill set. I think it may be Conte bringing somebody in that's more assured in that position, possibly. Skip has obviously got a lot to learn and come on, although the signs are there that he could potentially be, a great player. But at the moment, I think that what we need to do is steady the ship, and that's what these signings sound like. And hopefully we'll make maybe a marquee signing in the summer. Although I do take on board what Sim was saying earlier as well about, there's so much dependent on what we'll be looking for in the summer, whether we are in Champions League or not, or in the Europa. It's difficult to say, but for the time being, I'm happy with the fact that we're steadying the ship here.
In terms of Bryan Gil, it looks like he's off to Valencia on a potential 18-month loan deal. What does that, like, when you hear about him going back to Spain on an 18-month loan deal, does that signal like the beginning of the end to you, or do you still think that there's still life for him as a Tottenham player?
It's a good question. Since it's been raised today, it has gone through my mind. I mean, I think that I've seen more of Bryan Gil on the Getir adverts than I have on on the pitch. I mean, what I've seen on the pitch, I like. I think what I see from him is what I don't see from Lo Celso, and which really winds me up. In that when he's on the pitch, he's committed, and you can tell what he's trying to do. What I think the problem is with him is that the players around him for this stage of his career in the Premier League are not helping him. And I think the team itself needs to find its direction before you can introduce somebody like Bryan Gil at this stage of their career, because he's young. And I think we've had to throw him in because of necessity, as opposed to growing him into that side to create the right mix. So I think it's been forced. I mean, you could tell that with Morecambe, with the Morecambe game. I mean, he was chucked in there, and it was just so dysfunctional up there in the way that he was being played. And he was, I mean, it was not the Ndombele situation where he dropped his head and, this isn't working for me. Why is he making, why is he making me play this system? Which is what I was getting from his body language and the way that he was playing. With Gil, he was actually trying to achieve something. So that's where I think the difference is. I really do hope that it's not the last we've seen of him. I think that he's going to build on what he's got and maybe come back into the Premier League. I think, look, again, if you look at other Premier League sides, who's going to take a punt on him at the moment? So because you could only really say to yourself, well, if you're going to send him out on loan, you have to send him out to another Premier League club. And who is actually going to take him at this stage? So, it's not really possible. I think Valencia or another Spanish club is probably the best bet for him right now.
So, George, as things stand, as of 30th of January, it looks like Ndombele and Gil are going to be going out, and it looks like they're going to be replaced by Kulusevski and Bentancur. So, like for like, pretty much out and in. As it stands, if that's the only business done, how would you rate the window? Would it be a successful one? Do you think we've done enough? Do you think we've done adequate? What would be your assessment?
If you want me to rate it, I'm not going to rate it any more than a 5 or a 6. Because on the simple fact that all we're trying to achieve here is steadying this ship. I mean, if we do manage to get into top 4 with the players that we brought in, then I'll be willing to say, I was wrong. But at this stage, I think all we're trying to do really is to introduce Conte players to play a Conte system in order to take the next step up. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just happy that it would seem with the signings that we are making that Conte is maybe thinking he's going to probably hang around for a little bit longer than maybe we anticipated earlier on this week.
And what kind of signing for you would bump up that scoreline to maybe an 8 or a 9 or maybe even a 10?
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I would say we would need a creative midfielder as well. So someone who's able to put their foot on it, ping a pass, be versatile in the centre of midfield, and a striker. I would then say, yeah. I mean, you're looking sort of at the 8 range.
What about right wing back? Where would he go into there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just want to give Emerson more of a chance. I hear what everybody's saying, but I think for somebody who's just been introduced into the Premier League, has already been faced with 2 managers, and is still trying to really find their feet, I actually don't think he's done too badly. I think the state of that team, the amount of pressure which is on that defense to perform, I think is big, and I think that to sort of burden and say that Emerson just hasn't been is no good and we should be looking for a replacement already. Let's just see how the players that we brought in now work and whether the pressure is taken off that defense, which will allow him to push forward and maybe express himself in the way that he should be. I do take the point that his crossing has not been the best, but look, when you're on the field and you've got to concentrate on, should I be tracking back, should I be going forward, and your centre of midfield is so paper thin, it's difficult to make those decisions at the right time. So I'm going to just say no. If they get another right wing back and it's a marquee signing right wing back, I'll be happy. But at the moment, I'm willing to give Emerson another chance.
All right, George. Always great to speak to you, my friend, especially with more positive news that we haven't had in the last couple of weeks. But George, thanks a lot for coming on today, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Nice one, George.
Do we have any other guests today?
Yeah.
Oh, we do. But before we do bring those guests on, I think we do have some super chats to get through. And also, George Bannister tweeted about an hour ago saying that Spurs will look to replace anyone that does further leave. So that does bring me a bit more hope to say if Bergwijn or Lo Celso was to leave, that we will be bringing more players in.
Yeah, it does seem like we are definitely looking for outgoings before bringing someone in. So it does seem to be the case, judging by how the patterns have gone so far. Ndombele out, Bentancur in, Cahill out, Kulusevski in, it all makes sense. Super chats, I think we read them all.
Okay. All right, let's bring on Mikey.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm a lot more positive than I have been over the past few weeks, because finally we're getting in some signings.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your positive thinking.
So it's the buzz of just getting a new sign, because as Spurs fans, we're all too familiar with going through an entire window signing no one. You look back to those 2018, or I can't remember when it was, after we signed Lucas Moura, we didn't make a signing for I think 2 or 3 windows, and that was painful to have to endure. But now as signings go, they're not shit. Like they're good signings. I mean, I'm more excited about Kulusevski than I am about Bentancur, because I know Bentancur, however you say his name, Rodrigo, the guy from
Bentancur,
Bentancur. He's been, widely criticised by Juve fans. He hasn't performed to the levels. I mean, I don't base my football knowledge off FIFA, but I used to be an avid FIFA player, and he got a Future Stars a couple of years back, and everyone thought, he's gonna be the next, like midfield anchor for Juve, and it hasn't exactly worked out. So I think it's going to be a really good deal for us with Kulusevski. I think he can, if he performs to the level that we know he can, then it'll be a good deal, enough to be worth it. I know the 40 million price tag. The 40 million price tag is a little bit. It's raised a couple of eyebrows if all of the conditions are met, but I think it does push us a step towards Champions League football. It gives us an added area in the forward line that's looked so thin. Lucas isn't naturally a striker, but because we haven't had any left wing options with Son and Bergwijn out and Gil not up to the task yet, we've had to play Cahill and Lucas Moura as a front two, and it's worked at times, but they haven't looked the most comfortable paired together. So I think Kulusevski is an extra option on the right wing, and obviously Bentancur gives us midfield depth, but in a position where we're rotating Højbjerg, Winks and Skip heavily. Does Bentancur add what we need? Because I would rather have gone for a more creative midfielder if we are looking to loan Ndombele back to Lyon. I mean, that's embarrassing, really. We took him from Lyon and we're just like, well, no one else will take him, so just ship him back to where we got him from on a loan deal for peanuts compared to what we paid for him.
In terms of you wanting a creative midfielder, I'm of the same thinking. I wanted a creative midfielder as well. But the fact of the matter is, the midfielders we're going for tells me that Conte is looking for very much a midfielder in a similar mould to what we have in Højbjerg, Skip and Winks, so similar kind of player in the centre of the park. So from that kind of thinking, if that's what Conte wants, is then a good thing that's what we're bringing in from that point of view?
Absolutely, yeah, because we've spent this entire window wondering when we're going to get someone in and worrying that if nobody comes in, if Conte doesn't get who he wants, then he walks. We wanted Adama Traore, and I know Mr. Adam William Cahill was very vocal about the fact that Adama Traore has not been tested as a right wing back row. He played there a couple of times for Wolves, but has never really been a new one. And Conte's right wing backs want to be able to bomb forward, but they want to have defensive capabilities as well. We've seen that with Emerson. His defensive capabilities outshine his attacking ones, and whereas Adama Traore's attacking would outshine his defending. And so I'm not too sad about missing out on Adama. I know he was our principal target, and it's left a lot of Spurs fans infuriated that we missed out on him to Barcelona. But in the role that we were going to play him in, there are other options that we could have gone for. And I mean, the Luis Diaz deal came out of nowhere. It was over a 2-day thing. We were like, okay, well, we're in the race, and we lost him to Liverpool, who'd been in the race a lot longer. I am a bit disappointed that we missed out on him, but I'm happy that Kulusevski has come in as not a direct comparison, but as Adam said, Diaz plays on the left where we have Son, whereas Kulusevski is a right winger where we have less quality. I'm not saying Lucas Moura is any less quality, is bad, but Kulusevski is definitely of the level that could push our front three forward a bit, is what I'm saying. So I don't think this transfer window has been perfect by any means. We spent 29 days out of 30 asking what was going on, where's the signings, we're being linked with but never being able to get through the deals. And I'm glad that these two are happening. It's transfer moves, regardless of, we don't know how they're going to turn. If they turn out good and they get us Champions League football, we're going to look back and think, Paratici, you did well. It's just the buzz of getting a new signing, and that's why I've been relatively excited today.
Yeah, and in terms of the deals in general, we've looked to be getting over the line, and the deal's out. Obviously, Gil looks like he's on his way to Valencia on an 18-month loan, and you mentioned Ndombele, but if Gil goes to Valencia on an 18-month loan, what's your opinion on that deal? Is it disappointing that after 6 months we're already looking to see him go on a 1.5-year deal, or do you think it will be good for him to come back after an 18-month loan and be part of the first team?
I think it will be good. I was of the opinion that when we brought him, we should have loaned him out again, like straight away, because I could immediately tell he wasn't Premier League ready. Because I know I don't agree with the stereotype that small technical players can't make it in the Premier League. It's a big bulk. You need the physicality. I'm not of that view. I think that players have come in and done it and made us all look like fools for thinking that. So, but I think Bryan Gil, he has a very slim build. It might be better suited for the elegance of I know that I say elegance in relative terms, the elegance of the Spanish league compared to the Premier League. But I think we should have loaned him out straight away, given him a year back in Spain to hone his craft a bit more, and then brought him in, because he was brought in under Nuno. Let's not forget, he was brought in for a Nuno system, and he's now playing in the Conte system. And if Conte is looking to loan him out, then that could be said that maybe Conte doesn't fancy him as a player in the system that he likes to play. You know, he was brought under a different management regime, and to loan him out, that seems like a fair compromise. For an 18-month deal, that's a little bit. I was expecting a 6-month one, given him an extra season, but I guess that'll give him like another full, because he's only got half a season, maybe not be able to show much. It gives him a full season to prove what he can do in Spain again, and hopefully get some a little bit more physically gifted. Like you saw Adama, he was very skinny at Barcelona and he bulked up. So I'm not saying that will happen to Bryan Gil, but I just think he's a very technically gifted player. He's just not ready for the Premier League, and I think loaning him out back to he knows the language, he knows the league. I think that's a good deal for him. I was expecting 18 months, but I wasn't expecting 18 months, but let's see how it develops.
And if this is the kind of business that we finished the window with 2 in or 2 out, Ndombele, Gil out, and Bentancur and Kulusevski in, how would you rate the window?
I'd give it a 7. I wouldn't put it 8, 9, or 10, but I wouldn't give it a 5 or a 6. I know we've been bantered as linked FC, and I had quite a few people in my DMs a couple of days ago when the non-league player, supposedly the non-league player, rejected us, but in fact we rejected him because of his anti-Spurs tweets a few years ago. But I think we've been linked with so many players, and to be pipped to the post by Liverpool, to be pipped to the post by Barcelona, we spent so long in consideration for things, and they've just been more decisive. That's been our downfalls window. We haven't been decisive enough. And the areas which we were crying out for was maybe another centre back, a right wing back, and a striker. And we've got in a midfielder and a right winger. Now, I'm not saying that's bad by any stretch, but Harry Kane has looked tired on more than one occasion, and Bergwijn isn't a tailor-made replacement yet. We don't have anyone in the mold of Harry Kane like we did when Vinicius came on loan. I think that should have been one of our priorities, was to find a player who could be a backup for Harry Kane, because he's looked tired, he's looked lethargic. He can't play 90 minutes twice a week every week. He's been doing it for 6 years now, and we're rushing back from injury every time. The man needs a rest, and we haven't brought in anyone to allow him to get the physical rest he needs, because if we keep playing him at the rate we are, he'll get an injury very, very soon. And that will seriously hamper our top 4 chances. And Emerson, the jury's still out on Emerson. It's only been 6 months. If he has a barnstorming second half of the season, then it'll look good that we kept him. But I'm not fully convinced by him, but I'm giving him more of a chance. And obviously centre-back, we know that's been a problem position. But we'll see how it goes.
Mikey, good to speak to you as always, mate. Good to see you. And we'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Big up, Mikey. Yep. Speak to you soon,
bye.
See you, Mikey. Bit more news on Ndombele coming out from a journalist out in France called Hugo Giuseppe. He says, Ndombele, the agreement is very close. Lyon have agreed to pay around €3 million loan fee, with Tottenham paying over half of the salary between now and the end of the season.
Over half?
Tottenham do not want a purchase option in the deal.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting. Why would we not want a purchase option, do you think?
Maybe they think that he can be reinvigorated in France and come back, and maybe they're thinking, the work he does in France can boost his value, and maybe they'll look to sell him when he comes back, or
for more
to bring him in.
Very interesting there. Tottenham do not want a purchase option in the deal, but $3 million loan fee, with Spurs paying over half the salary between now and the end of the season. That's what he is reporting, Hugo Giuseppe. A couple of super chats from Spurs Debates TV. Big up to you, Josh. He says,
up, Josh.
Ben, you were right about being patient. Well done, sir. Sim, you're just a legend, mate. Keep it up, lads. Do you think you're right about being patient? Or do you think the panic has allowed the signings to be made very quickly?
I think I was right, because I called for patience after day 7. And yeah, like I said, I stand by that all along. Look, let's not beat around the bush here. The signings that we've made is still nowhere near what we need. We still need a right wing back, which is first and foremost, in my opinion. We still need a backup or a striker to contend with Harry Kane. So, I mean, if it's just these 2 in, I still don't think it's an amazing window. I would say, like I said before, 5 to 6 out of 10. A right wing back and a striker do catapult that up quite highly. But look, in terms of was I right to call for patience? After 7 days, I was, yeah. But still, we need more signings in. We need to be even more patient still.
And Faz Radfar says, would it not be more appropriate to loan Gil in the UK?
Yes, it would be.
It would be more appropriate, but the clubs have to come in for him. And if there's no club, it's better for him to go out on loan to Spain than stay, probably, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So that's the case. We'll just wait for, I think Jory's repositioning himself. Just give him a sec. Let him get more. I'll read out the super chat while he's getting ready. Brandon Troller says, why haven't we tried to loan Scarlett out yet? Don't think Conte will play him even if Kane got injured. Keep up the good work, gents. Come on, you Antonio?
I guess. Maybe it's just a typo.
Yeah, because the A is right next to the S. So I'm assuming it's a typo. But yeah, I would loan out Scarlett if possible. Yeah, he is still very, very young. Like,
the thing is, if he's going to go out on loan, where would you loan him to? Like, what?
League Two or something?
You know
yeah.
what I mean, like.
He's still the fact of the matter is most players his age are still playing in the under 19s or 23s.
I have no problem with him still being in the under 23s.
So yeah, just keep him there. There's no rush.
Even the under 23s is much further than what he should be.
Exactly. There's no need to rush Scarlett right now. No need. But look, if we are going to loan him, if someone really does want to take him on loan, that's also good. But no need to rush it. He's only 17.
All right, let's bring on the Jory. Jory, how's it going, man?
Hey, man. Good. It's going better for sure.
I can see a little smile creeping into your face, Jory. Is that what I can see there?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys. Let's. Just quickly to answer Sim's question around Ndombele. I think that must be. It's without an obligation to buy. It can't be without an option. I think.
Apparently, without both.
It's without either. Apparently, Tottenham just want a straight loan, it says.
Yeah, but I would say without the obligation, that would make sense because then they couldn't get the deal over the line. But I mean, now we're just doing anything to get rid of Ndombele. So that says a lot, really. But yeah, finally we got some guys in, and I think it's not bargain bin stuff for sure, but. I still think it's a reactionary move. I do think this was probably the kind of a little bit of a plan B, not the actual players, but more in terms of turning to Juve and trying to find solutions there. And I mean, we should be happy that we have a guy that has that as an option. But like I've maybe told you before, I worked with Kulusevski last summer on a
really?
Swedish. Yeah.
So Agent Jory.
Yes,
you've been a good word.
Yes, and I did I did point out that Tottenham would be a nice place for him to stop by at some time in his career. You know, so the trip I went where I worked with Zlatan in Milano, and then the next day I was with Kulusevski in Torino. So I can at least tell you guys that he's a very nice lad,
so Jory planted the seed basically, and now it's grown
of course.
What do you?
What, do you think I'm just a good-looking face or something? I'm working for the club all the time.
But Jory, in terms of the player he is, I don't know if you've seen him play too many times, but in terms of where he plays, his position, where he'll fit into the squad, do you think that could be very valuable for us?
So, yes, for sure, but. Like I feel like there's so much reactionary confusion, and I'm just too reactionary. I really think like a lot of our fans should just quit football and go straight to heroin. To be honest, you know, so because it's all about just getting a high and then not really thinking deeply about any of it. Kulusevski, I would say, is definitely a great investment for whoever invests in him. Whether he'll be instrumental now for the period till the summer, I don't know. But I definitely think we have an upgrade there for sure. the problem is it wasn't our biggest problem right there. And I'm not sure that, like you guys are saying now, that this is what Conte wants and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that at all. I'm sure that, yeah, Conte has approved this in terms of the quality of play and whatever, but we're maybe down to almost this or nothing, you know, or this or even worse options or whatever. So I want to see Conte's reaction in the next press conference or something before I decide that Conte is very happy with what's gone on in this window, because our wing back is still lacking. For me, it was wing back, centre back, and striker, because I thought Bergwijn could do a job in the striker role, like in terms of priority. So I would say for me, the way this turns into the biggest success is if it ends up resolving our how to say it, our wasteful midfield, you know. So if it ends up being instrumental in getting Ndombele out, Dele out, and so on, and getting us on, you know, like loosening up the whole situation in terms of now in the summer, we can now go into the summer and be much more proactive in terms of recruitment. Then I would say, yeah, it's successful. But don't get me wrong. I think Dejan is a very good player. I think he was in a difficult situation in Juve, and I do believe that Conte can get great things out of him. I know, like in Sweden, he's considered like the commercial I did there, by the way, guys, and you can see I posted it in the comment to one of your tweets earlier yesterday, I think. And you can see the finished commercial there. But the commercial I did there, the whole premise of that is that Zlatan was the big lion, the king of the jungle, and Kulusevski was the up-and-coming lion that was going to take the reins, you know. And that's kind of and I talked to, like, this was Swedish clients and so on. So in Sweden, he's very much considered the next big thing, along with maybe an Isaac and stuff like that. So they have a very high regards towards what his top ceiling can become. And I think what I've seen of him, what I've seen, you know, people talk about him, people who know, I think that's definitely how we should look at it for now, at least. Let's see how the Premier League works for him. But, you know, in general, I think he could actually be quite well suited to the Premier League. You know, he's a tall guy. He's fast. I think he's one of the guys that runs the most when he's on the pitch in Juve and so on. So I think he could be in for success for us for sure.
And in terms of the other signing, Bentancur, are you hopeful about him as well? And obviously, he's not exactly a player who is going to be very different to what we already have. But do you think that's exactly maybe that's what we need, just someone more dependable in the centre who Conte can rely on?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like, at first sight, it's kind of like almost we don't need it that much. But that being said, but if we're getting all these guys out, like even Lo Celso, like we're not upgrading from Lo Celso and Tanguy in terms of skills, what they can produce. But we are maybe upgrading in terms of reliability and in terms of fortitude in the midfield, you know. So let's hope that that's what's going to happen with these two guys. What I read and what I hear around, like just like you guys have probably heard, is that Bentancur is much more flaky, much more a guy that maybe needs a little bit more nurturing to get the best out of him, and not nearly the same amount of upside as you have in Kulusevski. So my biggest problem with this is just that this is sure we might have a big need in terms of getting all our all our old midfielders out. And if that's the plan, if that's become the main priority, then I think it's a successful window with these two guys in, which means that we can then, without problem, release at least two of like Dele and Tanguy. But I would say, in my view, what would have been the real ambitious, the real statement of intent is that after we fucked up so royally, don't forget, guys, we were, the whole that Adama situation, which was something that was addressing a glaring, the main problem we were seeing in all our games, the right wing back situation. That was Adama. We fucked that up. Then the next move was Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz now is gonna be a thorn in our heart every time we see him put one in our goal for Liverpool.
I disagree with the fact that we screwed that Luis Diaz deal up, though. I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, it seems like Porto were the main instigator of that. Actually, I suspect it's Luis Diaz camp that actually wanted Liverpool to swoop in for that, because Liverpool had been talking to him in the summer and maybe before that as well. So I suspect that was definitely, but nobody kind of, I think we basically have become, we've given people license to behave like this towards us because we're so shitty towards the people that we negotiate with as well, So people don't feel bad about.
Comes around, Jory, eh?
Exactly. It's a bit of karma in terms of Levy deals, So, but still, like I said, to finish my point here, what would have been the real intention after that debacle, the real statement of ambition would have been to push for Dybala after Juve signed Vlahovic, So if we really were willing to spend and really ambitious, we could definitely open that talk. Even though I'm not saying it would have been an easy deal or whatever, but that would have been the real push of ambition for me. But then again, my hopes, my expectations were very low. I'm very happy that we get Dejan in, and I'm hopeful for Bentancur. But I don't think it means that this window was a success at all, because like I said in my last call in, we could have gotten Messi in. It can still be an unsuccessful window in the terms of it's random. It's the luck of the draw, It's maybe not random, but it's maybe a plan B type situation. Hopefully, in terms of players, it will turn out to be good players. I'm actually quite sure that Kulusevski is going to be a keeper. Actually, something that's going to be something we're going to be very happy about. So
what signings would it take? What positions would it take for you to think more positively about the window?
I mean, I dread going through the last part of the season with no upgrade in the wing back situation. So for me, I would say some kind of wing back. I would say, like, if you get a real centre back in as well, then I would also be happy. But if the next press conference, I can read out of Conte's comments that this was a plan that he was happy with, that was executed, then I would say, okay, that was then successful in that way. We freed up these midfielders, which has been the big bottleneck in terms of transfers for the last couple of windows. That mean that where maybe we have freedom in the summer now to really restructure our squad. That's all I need to know. Was it due to they switching after the Adamas situation, switching to that as their focus and making that the priority to get done in this window? Then I'm happy, but I'm not sure about that. And so, like I said, it's not the players. I'm actually pretty happy with the players, but But yeah, I would say for me, the next big problem, if they're going to solve anything the next 24 hours, they should definitely be looking at the wing-back situation. I mean, I ask you guys, aren't you yourself worried about going into the last part of the season, trying to go for this top 4 spot without an upgrade there?
100%. I mean, I've said it all along that my priority this window was a right wing back. That's what should have been number 1 target for us. Excuse me. I said that, ultimately, I think that right now, as it stands with Cahill and Ndombele going and the players we got coming in, I don't put it more than a 6 out of 10, and that's probably at the ceiling it can go for. And if we do get a right wing back in that is better than what we've got, I mean, I would put that up to an 8 out of 10. And I think that's how important the right wing back is for me.
I think you're pretty close to actually how I feel about it. I would say it like this, Ben. I would say if Conte doesn't if Conte doesn't confirm that this is part of one of his main plans, I would put it at a 5. If he confirms it was the main priority after the wing back situation dropped through, then I would maybe put it at a 7. And if they bring in a wing back, then I'm up to 8 as well. I would agree with that actually. So for me, the main thing is it starts with Conte and goes through Paratici, and Levy just pays.
Yeah.
But because Levy couldn't pay and couldn't get the financials in time, we got outmaneuvered twice in this window. So so don't get it wrong. Levy is still a problem, and I really encourage people to still go along to this protest tomorrow, and because I'm also sure that we get actually this deal is also a part of the pressure that Levy feels from this protest. That's why the financials, all of a sudden we get the financials done in 24 hours. We couldn't get it done in 20 days, with Adama. So so Levy is still Levy in my view. But
Levy will always be Levy. Don't ever get that twisted.
No, I know that, guys. But I would definitely still encourage people to have a smile on, because at least we got a real investment, I think, in Dejan. So
okay, it's brilliant.
All right, big up, Jory.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
All
Great
right.
insight as always. Have a good day. Have a good
Take
rest
care,
of the
guys.
Nice one, Jory.
Bye.
Super chat from Bob Spur TV.
Come on, Bob.
Bringing it home. He says,
Piss off, Bob.
We started the window with Dusan, Traore, and Diaz, McKennie, and Kessie, and we end it with 2 Juventus bench warmers.
Well, I think
the tactics worked perfectly again till he is holding the shirt.
I think this whole thing about Juve bench warmers is going a bit too far, because first of all, Bentancur is not a bench warmer. He's been starting predominantly for them for the last 3 or 4 years. So he's been a mainstay in the Juventus team. Kulusevski, fine. He's been predominantly a bench warmer this year, but he's 21 years old, and last year he started a lot of games when they had the old manager. So I think people talking about these 2 guys being Juve bench warmers are a bit excessive.
Yeah. And it's exactly. It's not like Amrabat, where they've literally played 1 game or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Amrabat was literally a Fiorentina bench warmer. Bentancur starts majority of games for Juventus.
Exactly. And Kulusevski, last season at least, started quite a lot. And as you say, played a lot in the Euros for Sweden. I'm more excited about these deals than I was about Amrabat. And a few updates quickly before we move on to the next caller. TalkSport are reporting that Giovanni Lo Celso to Villarreal is looking very likely. Dan Kilpatrick as well has been tweeting. He said that Tottenham are struggling to find a taker for Dele Alli before the end of the window. And he also says, as things stand, Joe Rodon is expected to stay at Tottenham before the end of the window. So those are some updates going on at the moment.
That one from Hugo Guillemette.
That's what I spoke about before, about Ndombele.
Lyon are pushing for a buy option.
So Tottenham don't want the buy option, but Lyon are pushing for it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder why. Maybe because we feel like the buy option we want would be too high, maybe?
The buy option will be too less for us. I mean, the buy option that Lyon would want would probably be not enough for us.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's why we don't want it. Okay.
All right, you know what time it is now. Let's bring on David. Let's bring on the Irish Hotspur. Dave, what are you talking about telling me you were telling me, calling me for calm?
Look, you were panicking the other day. We spoke about it the last day I was on. You were starting to panic, lad. I told you. Put on the Bob Marley, sit back, relax, no Levy, no cry. 3 little signings sitting on the window. Just put it on, my man. Just relax.
And what's happened since then? We've got 2 signings over the line, 2 players from Juventus. What is your opinion on the 2 players that are coming in?
First of all, I just want to say this. Can you smell what the Don Paratici is cooking? Look, when it comes to the 2 signings, look, I think I actually think it's a huge upgrade. Look, we're talking about players at Tottenham who have offered absolutely nothing. Straight away, these guys come in. They offer freshness injecting into the squad. They offer competition. You bet your ass some of these players now will be looking over their shoulders, upping their performances in training and upping their performances in matches. And I have to say, I'm very happy. Look, with Big Kulu, I absolutely love this guy. Kulu, I really do. I think he's a big. I was singing that all morning. Kulu. I was absolutely loving it. But no, look, honestly, the big Swiss or the big Swedish, I absolutely love this guy. I really do think he will add something. He's an option that even if he doesn't start, you can bring him off the bench. He's 6'1". He's powerful. He's got pace. He will be a real danger. And the Moroccan or the Uruguayan Dembele, I'm absolutely loving this signing, to be honest with you. Again, he's a big unit in the midfield, and he's got a good passing range on him as well, to be fair. And look, if he can come in and hit the ground running, if we do end up playing the 3 in midfield, he comes straight in for Harry Winks. I think that's definitely an upgrade there. And what Kulusevski does do is if Son isn't ready to come back, he can come in straight away and provide an option if needed. You can put Lucas over there, you can put Kulusevski in where Son usually plays. So I'm absolutely delighted with the signings, to be honest with you. Like I said, it's more for the squad. It just brings freshness. It just puts everyone on their toes a little, rather than being complacent because they know there's players here that will never play and offer nothing. So I do definitely think this could work out in the long run for Tottenham. And look, we talk about how much Conte has improved. Davies, Dyer, Sanchez, Winks, players like that. I mean, yes, Kulusevski has maybe come off the boil a little bit under Juve, but what's to say he can't get him going again? What's to say that he can't get Bentancur in here to come in and absolutely rip things up? I mean, we have to look at this as a plus. We all sat here, we've all been moaning for the last 29 days about us not acting in the transfer market. We've acted in the transfer market. And the fact that we've acted today, we still have players that we can still get rid of. Then you might see another 1 or 2 in the door tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, with Bentancur, we've got players like Winks, Højbjerg, Skip. Do you think that he's a bit too similar to what we have?
Look, do you know what? I hear everybody calling for creative midfielder, but it's no coincidence that Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele Alli can't get into the team. All creative midfielders. Conte doesn't want like a centre attacking midfielder, someone that operates higher up. What we need here, and looking at the way he plays, we need someone like a Bentancur, a deep-lying playmaker, someone that can spray passes, someone with a passing range on them. The biggest problem is linking the defence to the attack, and that's not going to happen through a central attacking midfielder. It's going to happen through a deep-lying playmaker who can take the ball off the defence, who can get us out of trouble. Because at the minute we have players who cannot do the basics, which is pass, control the ball, and move sometimes, and we're getting caught out. I mean, you look at the Chelsea game. Over the 3 games, got caught out time and time again. But what this guy can do is take the ball from the back line and get it to the forward line. I mean, we don't really see enough balls in behind at Tottenham. And this is what this guy can do. And the reason why we're not seeing balls in behind is because no one's going in behind, purely because they know we do not have the personnel to find them. What this does, if this guy can come in and bring that passing range, he gives us another threat, which means you can start getting players going in behind, but you can also get them dropping deep. But this guy could be the answer to what we need in midfield.
That's good. In terms of Kulusevski, do you think he could provide, because obviously we have Lucas Moore on the right-hand side, we don't really have any competition for him. Do you see him taking that spot off Lucas, or do you think Lucas will have it for the time being and then it's up to Kulu to prove himself?
No, look, I think it will be up to Kulu to come and improve himself. But I think he will. I do think he will. But what he does do is if Lucas isn't playing well, because look, we can't, as much as a good season he's had, the last 2 games versus Leicester and Chelsea, he was absolutely anonymous in my opinion. He wasn't great. And what this guy does is he comes in, he provides competition. But not only that, even if he doesn't start, he provides that option off the bench. You know, Conte can look at the bench and say, you have a game changer here. You know what I mean? I can do something with this. Rather than what we've been seeing already sometimes where we're just replacing like for like. But with this guy, you can bring him on. You can change the tactics if need be by bringing him on. You know what I mean? And he's direct. He's good on the ball. I really like him. And for me, what he does do is, like I said, he brings competition. And even if he doesn't start, he brings an option off the bench, which is probably what we've been lacking.
Definitely. In terms of outgoings, Ndombele looks set to be joining Lyon on loan, but enough has been said about him. Bryan Gil seems to be going to Valencia on an 18-month loan. Some people aren't happy about it, saying no point going to La Liga if he needs to get used to the Premier League. Some people thinking it could be good for his development. What's your opinions on an 18-month loan for Bryan Gil to Valencia?
Yeah, first of all, it's not end on Ndombele, it's end on bye-bye. Thank you, but see you later. You know, you haven't done anything. But look, when it comes to Gil Messi, I'm still a believer. I still believe in the kid. I still think. Do you know what? I actually have a theory. Sometimes looking at him play, I think in his head he moves and sees things a lot quicker than what we currently have at Tottenham in terms of like from the midfield. I've seen him when he does come on. Sometimes he makes some great runs in behind, but he's never found and he's having to check back. But in terms of being loaned to Spain, look, me, I'd much rather be loaned out to a Premier League club or a Championship club fighting for promotion or in the top half of the Championship. I think it would be a very good loan for him. You know, get used to the hustle and bustle, the physicality of the English Premier League. But if we can't get that, and Kulusevski is coming in, I mean, it makes sense for me to loan him out if you're not gonna give the kid game time. I think it really makes a lot of sense. No matter what, if it's not the Premier League or English football, you have to get him on loan somewhere. And look, hopefully the kid can go out on loan and he can really perform. Because I still believe we have a real talent on our hands there. And maybe an 18th loan move where he can kind of go back out, maybe grow up a little, not that he's childish, but you know what I mean, in terms of a football player, just kind of grow up a little, maybe bulk up a little bit more. And I think he'll do just fine. I think it's a smart move. Look, we have to remember this guy came into what was an absolute sinking ship. It was always going to be hard for him to hit the ground running. He has all the potential in the world. It just hasn't happened. If we had a better squad, we probably would have been able to dip him in and out more. I feel sorry for him that he's had to play in cup games with the likes of Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele Alli, where things have been slow and lethargic and not really at the pace that Gil wants to play. So, look, I think a loan move is good for the guy.
And finally, obviously, it looks as though Ndombele, Gil are leaving. It looks like Bentancur and Kulusevski are in. What would you rate the window if it finishes like this?
Look, last night on my channel I said a 10 because I was in hype mode. I do apologise, honestly. I've been in hype mode since 12 o'clock last night.
Brilliant.
But look, now that I've had time to sleep and realistically think on it and come back down to reality a little, do you know what? Right now, as it stands, I would say a 7. Look, you're getting one of the biggest problems out in Ndombele. You're not stagnating Gil's progress. You're loaning him out, but you're bringing in 2 players that can come in and really add something to this squad. Kulusevski adds quality. The Uruguayan Dembele, Rentacar, he provides a bit of patience, a bit of calmness on the ball, which is maybe what we're lacking. So I think that'll definitely be a 7. But if we can get rid of Lo Celso and Dele Alli and maybe get in one more signing, I think it'd be a very, very good window. And the reason why I say that, I know there's people out there that might slate me for it or whatever, but like the reason why I say that is we also have to understand the January transfer window. We also have to be realistic on what you can do in January. I mean, we can sit there and say, go and get this player, go and get that player, but clubs might necessarily not want to sell in January. Still in Europe, still in cup competitions, have things to fight for in the league. So January window is not the easiest window to do business. And that's why I think if you weigh up the January transfer window and what we've done so far, it's been a decent window. But yes, but there's still potential to get better. But I do want to say is, let's not take light off the protest. The protest was always more about signings. It was about how much they're charging fans to follow this club and everything else as well. And the protesters probably have added to the pressure of maybe us getting signings in this window as well. So I wouldn't be calling them off yet. So, Dejan, if you are watching, my man, still get down there tomorrow and do your thing.
He'll be down there. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that.
I know. But honestly, I'm surprised the guy isn't divorced yet. Honestly, his missus must have the patience of a saint.
Well, he's here till February the 20th, unless there's another extension on the cards. But Dave, big up yourself. Thanks for coming on, and we shall see you soon.
No, I'll see you soon. And look, everybody, forget about, looking into, obviously we have to be patient. We don't know if these guys are going to hit the ground running and stuff like that. But, just sit back, relax, enjoy. Let the Don cook. You give him the ingredients, he'll churn you out a five-course meal if you give the guy time. This transfer window is definitely not over. And all I'd say is, through all the doom and gloom of this transfer window, sit there today, it's Sunday, have a big roast dinner, and, try and find the positives in the business that we have done. As always, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. Can you smell what the Don is cooking?
Big up, Dave. Lovely to see you as always, and what an ending to the interview that was. Quick update here from Romano on the Lo Celso situation. He has tweeted saying Villarreal will try for Lo Celso, as revealed yesterday. It depends on other deals. It's like a domino effect, but Lo Celso is understood to be very keen on the move. Lyon and Tottenham did have an agreement for Lo Celso, but Gio ultimately didn't accept the deal. So that is the latest on Lo Celso as things stand. Going to be very interesting. And Ali Gold has had his say on the two potential deals from Juventus. He says, on the two Juventus incomings, Bentancur has been a big player for Juventus in recent years, especially in the third consecutive title-winning season, but just hasn't naturally fit in the formation this season. He'll create lots of competition for Spurs in central midfield. He says on Kulusevski, only 21, was Serie A Young Player of the Year a couple seasons ago. Plenty of potential and can play in various positions, physically strong enough for the Premier League. A try before you buy deal, which definitely benefits Tottenham. Two good additions so far to the squad.
All right. Well, we did have Josh Spurs debates waiting to come on, but he's disconnected, I think. I believe Brian is in the back end waiting.
Is Brian coming on, is he?
I believe so.
We'd like to get his opinions on the state of play.
Get ready for the carnage, people.
And quickly as well, Man United have released a statement on Mason Greenwood saying Mason will not return to training or play any matches until further notice.
Wow.
So that's a very strong statement on Mason Greenwood. Obviously, if you've seen what's happened with him, what's broken with him earlier today. But let's move on.
1 second. There's another super chat just came in just to get through from Jay Taylor saying Bentancur is the major one in these two deals. He's on a different level, aggressive, great tackling, and reading the game, can finish, and a playmaker. Come on, you Spurs.
Well, it sounds like the full package. I don't know if he's that good.
How are we getting him for that so cheap then?
Let's see what Brian has to say on our dealings so far today. Let's bring him on. Brian, good to see you, my friend.
How are we doing? How are we doing? I was going to have a day off, but I'm seeing you are going extremely on a long live. So I thought, you know what? Let's come on and say hello. First of all, the main thing I want to say is well done, Manchester United, for doing what they've done so swiftly in regards to Mason Greenwood, that piece of filth, for what he's allegedly done. Well, he has done it, but obviously you can't see. But yeah, big up Man U for acting so swiftly.
Yeah, absolutely
definitely
spot
right.
on. But talk to me about the transfer window. 2 signings in. It looks as though they are going to be in.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts regarding Bentancur and Kulusevski?
So I'm not going to talk on the Bentancur one because I know absolutely nothing about him. So anything I say is just null and void because I don't know enough about him. Kulusevski I like as a player. I really do like him as a player. The thing that's got me is everyone's entitled to feel happy. Yes, we're getting players, we're getting whatever. It's just in positions we've already got. That's what's pissing me off. It's we need to fill an attacking midfielder like Eriksen-esque. We haven't. Replacement for Kane or backup for Kane or competition for Kane. We haven't. The right wing back, we haven't. But don't get me wrong, it's players coming in, which is in all what we all want. But it's in positions we've already got. I know it's an upgrade. I just feel there's other places that should be addressed, but at least they're coming in.
Yeah, and on Bentancur, obviously you say you don't know much about him, but in terms of him being in a central midfield area, he's, if I tell you, he's very similar in terms of attributes to what we already have, but in terms of quality, you could argue whether he's slightly better or slightly worse of some of the options, but in attributes, he's fairly similar. So in that, if you take what I say is true, what's your feeling in terms of how much he's needed in the squad?
You know what, Sim? When you give these assessments on players, I take them very, very seriously. And like you said, that's the bit that's there for me. We're just kind of replacing kind of what we've already got, whilst not addressing what we need. And if he's very similar to what we've got, it's just another kind of bit part squad player, in my opinion, really. But obviously,
that does seem to be what Conte wants, though, because we went for Amrabat, Douglas Luiz, these kind of players who all seem to be in the very defensive midfielder kind of position. So if that's what Conte wants, is it only right that's what we're getting?
Well, if like you said, it's what. Listen, I've been on your show and every other show, and I said even with Traore when I spoke with Ben, I said if Conte says I come out and I want him, then I want him. He knows a lot better than me that what he wants and what he wants to do with his team. Me looking on as a fan is just obviously we're getting what we already have as opposed to, like I said, addressing what we need.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Brian. In terms of what we need, you've got players like Ndombele, Lo Celso, potentially Dele Alli moving out of the club. So it's another central midfielder is desperately needed if that's the case. Yep. If not two. And in terms of Kulusevski, Lucas Moura's crying out for some competition for his spot because there's no one to give him competition there on the right wing or the right central role slot. So, and not only that, but Kulusevski is also a very versatile player and can play in the cam position, in the number 10 position. So surely they are kind of players that the squad does need.
Oh, mate, Kulusevski, you've got no arguments from me. Kulusevski, I like I said at the beginning, I rate him as a player. I think he can be something very, very special. I really, really do. But like I said, we've needed more. I think we still need more.
No one's doubting that.
But with what you're saying, Ben, you are right. But like I said, with Kulusevski, I've got absolutely no hold up whatsoever.
So in terms of how we're feeling, maybe of the potential getting more signings in, are you hopeful maybe between now and the end of the window we could get a couple more in, or are you less confident in that?
I wouldn't say I'm less confident. It's more, again, this is Tottenham. It's again wait and see. It really is a game of wait and see. I mean, obviously the rumour of Mill has been going absolutely crazy, and it's Tottenham Hotspur, so you never know what's going to happen. I think one more might sneak through the door, maybe, but we'll have to wait and see.
If one more does sneak through the door, Brian, is that a transfer window that you'd be happy with?
Say that again.
If one more does sneak through the door, is that a transfer window that you'd be happy with? Let's say if a right wing back comes in or another midfielder, if Lo Celso leaves.
Yeah, but it depends on the quality of the player. If we just get another right wing back and it's not quality, then no. If we were to sign a right wing back, or like you said, the other position of quality and genuine, look how we signed like the right wing back. Look at what we've gone through with right wing back since we signed Walker.
Yeah.
If we brought another one in, like an Emerson, like an Aurier, like a Doherty, then hell no, I'm not. We go sign someone of quality in that position. I mean quality where we say, do you know what? That's the deal. Then of course.
But Brian, even if it's not top quality, and you bring in a right wing back that's better than what we have from now until the end of the season as a stopgap, would you be happy with that?
So, not. But it's a real hard question. I want to see someone in that position. I want to see someone of genuine quality, quality as a right wing back. Because, like I said, after going through 4 or 5 now, that plug needs to be filled. In my opinion, in that position. You know what I mean? If it was in another position like the centre attacking midfield, maybe. But how many subpar or potential or one for the futures have we now tried at right wing back and still haven't resolved that issue?
Yeah.
Brian, a lot of people are wondering, with the transfer business that's been done today, what that means for how you're feeling towards tomorrow and the protests. What would you say to that? Still going ahead.
Listen, once again, we've waited till lastminute.com. One sec. I'm with Danny Kiriakou.
Oh, big up, Danny.
And I'm with Ben. We're at Ben's coffee shop. So
Danny's the one that messaged me saying you're waiting to come on.
There you go. Your sources. You've just revealed your sources, Ben.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen, what this protest is about, and people have got to stop looking at this. This protest isn't just about transfers. It's a hell of a lot more than transfers and players coming in. Listen, the transfers have been done very, very last minute once again, when we have had such a very, very tough January programme to do. It's also about us paying the highest price season tickets. It's also about the kit deals. It's also about all the price hikes. It's also about all the business deals that get done and not investment in the squad. Listen, yes, he's invested now in a couple of players. But again, like I said at the beginning, it's players that just fill the squad, not solve issues. So yeah, it still goes ahead. It makes no difference.
Do you think you'll still get the same amount of numbers now that we've made a few signings?
Well, that's down to what people think. I mean, if people think that these two it sums up, everything's all forgiven, and 21 years of not really that many great transfer windows, or highs, like I said, the season ticket prices, the lies that have been told, the investments off the pitch as opposed to on the pitch, then if you don't come, that's you're fine with these two players. Then fine, that's you're back on, not back on the Levy in, but you now think that's you're happy with that, and everyone's entitled to their complete opinion. I look at it from as do a lot of others, from a long period of time, and the way we've conducted ourselves in the transfer market again, as well as, like I said, off the pitch matters, and this doesn't resolve anything.
Fair enough.
All right, Brian. Well, that is the news on the protest tomorrow. So if you are thinking like Brian and you want to get down there, do get down to Hotspur Way tomorrow to get your voices heard. But Brian, thank you, my brother, for coming on today. And we shall
always
speak
a pleasure for you boys. You know that, my man. Have a great day. And I'm going to not say it today because I just can't be asked with the flack and slack. So I'll just say, love you boys. And I'll finish with get well, Bob.
And come on, you Spurs.
See you later on. Come on, you Spurs. I'll give it to you. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Brian. Love that. Big up, Brian Daigle. Who have we got?
Quickly from 86 logo, who's I can't remember his name, what his full name is. He is claiming that Ndombele to Lyon is now a done deal. From Daniel Longo, from Calcio Mercato. He is claiming Ndombele to Tottenham is now to Lyon is now a done deal, but we'll have to wait and see. And just now, the Telegraph have reported Daniel Levy agreed a 45 million plus 15 million euro bid in add-ons for Luis Diaz. The add-ons were difficult for the player to achieve, though. Porto instead reached the same deal with Liverpool, but given 8 million immediately to ease demands for incoming payments.
And I read as well is like Daniel Levy was so angry with the way Liverpool conducted themselves. He reported Liverpool's recruitment team to the Liverpool hierarchy.
What are they going to do? That's so stupid.
The Liverpool hierarchy turned around to him and says, I was happy with what they did.
Yeah, like, why would they be angry with it?
I don't know.
Stupid. Levy.
Let's bring on Josh, Spurs Debate TV. How we doing, Josh?
Afternoon, chaps. What's going on?
Two signings look like they're coming through the door. Fabrizio's given the here we go. I'm seeing a smile on your face. Signings are coming through the door at Hotspur Way. Sum up your feelings for me.
Not going to smile too much, man, because obviously the proof's in the pudding and how these boys turn out. But I've been looking at Kulusevski's stats today. I'm going to be doing a little thing later on, bit of analysis on it later on. But this guy's good, man. This guy's good. 15 goals, 14 assists in the last 3 years. There's not many in our squad that could say that, having played a third amount of the minutes of Lucas Moura.
Wow.
So that says a lot, man. 5K versus 15K minutes on the pitch, and the man's already scored 15 goals and 14 assists. Change clubs, change managers, asked to do different roles, and he's 21 years old. Whew. I'm sorry, man. That's credible. That's credible. He's not an accident. He's not. That's not desperation, if you ask me. The Bentancur one, I just think Conte wants that engine in midfield. He wants soldiers in there. You know, I think he's seen some. I don't want to swear on your channel. He's seen some wimps in there, and he's seen some heads drop, and he's seen us, you know, just scrape through, you know, draws or wins or whatever. Let ourselves down with effort and strength and guile and guts. And he wants real men in there, you know. He wants some soldiers in there. We've got this soft spot at Spurs. We've got a culture issue. We've got rid of a lot of deadwood in the last summer window with Aurier, with Sissoko, getting rid of Tanguy. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that one goes through. Dele Alli's difficult. Obviously, we've got the homegrown quota to take care of as well. So I think he's just changing the culture, man. And we're in transition and we're rebuilding, and we can't get everything in one window. January's a very difficult window. And, you know, to go and take someone else's top player in January, unless they're skin or they're falling out with the player or they're trading him in for someone else, which is what's happened here, because Zakaria?
Zakaria,
Zakaria's come in, so which has given, obviously only 25 people can sit in the cinema, so he's got to let go one guy out the theatre, you know what I mean? So we've got him, and that's on the basis of a domino effect. And these things happen towards the end of the windows, man. It always takes a big signing. Dusan came in, they have to balance financial fair play. So, you know, they've got rid of a couple of players. Obviously, we're going to get both of them. And they've brought in an upgrade. We brought in an upgrade on Tanguy because the man don't want to play. The man don't even want to be here. Dele's not really even an upgrade because he's almost non-existent. You know, so we needed legs. We needed real people in there that want to play for the club. So I think they're good moves. I think they're they're not too risky because they're loans. You know, so that helps if there is a get out of jail card in them. And you know, when you look at West Ham and Arsenal, when you look at some of the players, Leicester, they're not making huge moves in this window, man. So it's good to get these players in, because I was getting, like the rest of us, I was getting impatient, thinking, right, if Monday morning there's nothing going on, I'm gonna have to get in the car and join Bryan Gil and the people. Do you know what I mean? And take a day off work. But I'm a bit calmer now, innit? And things are looking a little bit more positive.
Josh, what do you say to people who would have the opinion that Tottenham, in terms of these two transfers, it's their panic buys, we're just bargain basement buying off Juve's bench because our first choice options have fallen away, and are these the players that are really going to improve us? What would you say to those people?
Look, to take a good player off Juve is almost impossible for Tottenham. Almost impossible, because why would he come to Spurs? No Champions League, probably less money, right? And, you know, if you look at global reach, we have to understand when Suarez, well, you could talk about Suarez and Coutinho if you want, but when Diaz signed for Liverpool, or he's signed or whatever he's going to sign, this player is going to a set club with a set system. He just slots in there, takes up Mane's position or Salah's position, gets the money, gets Champions League, and might even win a trophy or two this season. We're not that. I said this on your last show or a couple of shows ago. You know, I was looking through the comments and I just felt I had to call in. We have to be realistic with Tottenham Hotspur. We have to have perspective. And that's the key word, is perspective, because we're not Oil FC, so we can't double people's wages, and we're not Liverpool. So Diaz didn't come to us. Good luck to you, mate. You're going to get a global reach across Africa, China, America. Your image rights are going to go through the roof. You're at Liverpool Football Club. That's not us guys at the moment. We're not there. We're not, you know, I hate to say it, but it's true. We're not Liverpool Football Club. So we're not going to get these good players that are playing in these top teams unless they're falling out with the player. In my opinion, we're not going to get them. Why would they come to Tottenham? If they're getting game time and they're on that hunt for a couple of top trophies, their league cup, their league trophy, Ligue 1, whichever league they're in, Champions League, you know, why would they come to Spurs, man? Let's be realistic, guys. I mean, you know, we have to realize who we are, and we have to open up our eyes and realize who we're competing with. West Ham, Arsenal, if we're competing with them. Leicester, we're competing with them. We try and compete with Liverpool and Man United, but it's difficult. It's not as easy. You know, Dusan didn't go Arsenal. Did you see Arsenal getting too upset? They just cracked on and said, right, it is what it is. You know, these players don't want to go to Arsenals and West Hams and Tottenhams when they're already, you know,
sure
in
you
the
didn't
market.
see Arsenal Twitter when he went to Juve.
Yeah, well, you know, those fans need to smell a bit of coffee, man, because you're not going to get Dusan if, first of all, there's about 6 clubs that want him, that can offer him so much more in terms of competition, global reach, and go into a team like Juve where you're just on the off, gone, that's it, you know, straight into the big times. You know what I mean? None of this step up stuff. These guys are young, you know, at 21. I gave you some stats now. This guy can, if he really wants, his agent might say to him, go here, sign for 3-4 years, you know, and step up. At 25 is, you know, Diaz is 25. Why would he make a risky move now? He's going to go Liverpool. These players, you know, Adama's 25. You know, Coutinho went because his mate Gerrard told him, I got you. You're going to start. Man comes on second half, sets up a goal and scores one. There's a lot of things to football apart from money. And a lot of fans saying, let's just throw money at it. Money's not always the answer, man. Money is not. You have to work diligently and you have to know who you are and where you're at. Eriksen, Modric, you know, Son, we bought them off teams that those teams were not smashing it up. You know, they want elite clubs. You told me the last signing we made from an elite club. Why would they come Spurs, man, if they're already playing in an elite club? It doesn't make sense. But if they're in the squad or they're on the bench or they've fallen out or they're going to be swapped out or upgraded, like it is with Kulusevski, of course they're going to come to Tottenham because we're going to give them game time. And this man can play behind the strikers, guys. I'm telling you, Conte knows him. Paratici knows him. This guy has been moved around a bit from club to club. When he was out on loan at Parma, he did well. His comeback, Juve is a big old beast of a club, man. You know, it's difficult to. Sorry, I don't know if you can still hear me. I had a call come through. It's difficult to just these big clubs. You know, you look at Sancho. It's difficult sometimes for some of these players that come from a lesser club. And I'm sorry, we're not as big as Juve. So if we've got a squad player who's done very well for Juve, 15 goals, 15 goals, 14 assists. I think we should count ourselves pretty happy, mate, on this Sunday, and we still might get another player in the next 24 hours. So it could be a 7 or an 8 out of 10 window. I'd class it as 7 at the moment.
You class it as 7 at the moment, and so what needs to happen for it to bump up? What position for you?
For me, Tanguy, can't wait to see the back of him. I think he's got great skill. I think he's got unbelievable talent, but he's not a character. He's not a dressing room. You can't rely on him. You can't leave your hat on him. You know, if you've got 20 minutes to go, he's the kind of player that can let you down, and he's done that in the past. So Dele, can't wait to the back of him. We get rid of some dead wood, and if we do sign another player, great. But for me, it's now getting rid of that dead wood because we've got the players in. Now it's balancing the books and getting out the dead wood out the squad. And if we can get in one more player, listen, if we get Dembele, who's had some attitude and character problems at Barcelona, we have to be very careful. We're not bringing in, obviously, someone who thinks they're like, you know, thinks he's Mbappe and he's just going to, like, you know, take over the dressing room. So for me, I said it on your last show, the previous show, it's about character as well as the money, as well as, you know, how committed they are to Spurs. You know, people putting up tweets saying, we went for Kessie, we went for Diaz, we went for Adama. If they don't want to play for us, why would we want them? Do you want to be with a girl that wants to be with your best mate? No. So why do we want them? I don't understand why we want to be with these so-called class quality players if they don't want to be at Tottenham, regardless of the money. You know, it's not like Arsenal were in for Adama and Arsenal were in for you know, they're gonna go to the bigger clubs. So I accept that as a Tottenham fan. I've got that patience and perspective to think of everything openly. So if we bring in a player on the right-hand side, you know, this guy can play on the right. You know, you've had 2 experts there. I've been watching a couple of other experts this morning on other channels. Everyone's speaking very highly of Kulu. Kulu can play on the right on a 3. He can play behind the strikers. So that almost gives us and Lucas Moura a bit of competition on the right. Stevie B, I'd like to keep him, but it looks like he's going to go to balance the squad out a bit more. But if we keep Stevie B, and we've got Kulu on the right there as well. We've got some good cover. It's just the right wing back, which is Emerson. But that's where Conte, you know, will look at it and he'll probably say, shall I just bring in a body for the sake of it or shall I work with what I've got? This man has improved half our squad. He's improved Eric Dyer. He's improved Ben Davis. He's improved Sanchez, Winks. You know, even Kane, you could say, has had a little bit of an improvement under Conte, man. Look at Skip, you know what I mean? So everything considered, 7 out of 10. This man will improve these players coming in. He's improving what he's got. He knows what he wants. He wants soldiers in the midfield. And I think it's a good, from 24 hours ago, 40 hours, we're all sitting here, you know, all getting ready for whatever. getting ready to take some anger out. I think we can all sit here a little bit more happier now and relaxed and trust maybe the Paratici, Conte and Levy process. I know people don't want to hear that, but we're not Oil FC. We're not Champions League. We don't double wages like Chelsea and Man City. We've made some expensive mistakes in Tanguy, and we've got to be diligent in the way we move around. We've got to look at the likes of West Ham and Arsenal. Odegaard, Real Madrid don't want him. Squad player, look at him now. Juve don't want him. Squad player, let's see what happens. It might be the one. But we just got to have some perspective in the way we go about our business, man. And I think it's been a good window. Now it's turning into a better window. I give it 7, but let's see what happens, guys. You know what I mean? It's all, with the managers being here 5 minutes, man. These other teams have had managers there for 2-3 years. Moyes, Arteta, Klopp, Pep. We're kind of starting this race. So we have to have perspective in the way and the rebuild we're in at the moment. It's easy to get angry. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to look back 20 years. But let's see where we're at right now and let's move forward diligently. And I think that's what Conte, Levy and Paratici are doing. I believe we've got the right men at the club. Levy's put his balls on the table. He's backing them at the moment with these 2 transfers. Let's see what more he wants. I don't think Conte is going to walk anytime soon. And the arrow looks like it's pointing more up now, chaps.
All right. Big
nice
up,
one,
Josh. Big up, Josh. We'll speak to you very soon.
Good to see you, mate.
Come on, you Spurs, man. Come on.
Come on, Spurs. Come on.
All right, so I think that is the last guest today. There has been some incoming news in the last couple of minutes.
Because I think it's a bit of a domino. So Bruno Guilmaz has just been announced by Newcastle.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to cause a bit of a domino effect for Tanguy. That's why we're seeing everyone saying the Tanguy deal looks pretty much done at this point.
Yeah, so what's his name? Maynard, I can't remember his name. Julian Maynard says that Tanguy Ndombele will go to Lyon this evening. Tottenham continue to negotiate a probable purchase option. And George Bannister has just tweeted as well saying Tanguy's flight booked with a France flag emoji.
And Telefoot, which I think Julian Maynard works for, they have said Ndombele will travel to Lyon tonight to complete his loan move. Lyon will cover the majority of his salary. That's what they're saying. That's contrary to reports before, which said Tottenham might have to cover the majority. They're saying Lyon are going to cover the majority. So it'll be interesting. I guess the things to work out are, is there going to be an option to buy or not, and how much of the salary is being covered. But it looks like he's definitely going to Lyon. That's pretty certain at this point.
Yeah.
Especially seeing as Bruno's just been announced. I think that all adds up.
So that is the state of play. As and when anything drops with any proper concrete news, we will bring it to you. Hopefully first on this channel.
And Romano just gave the here we go to Zakaria to Juventus. So it all seems to be the domino effect falling into place.
So Bentancur should be
imminent.
He should be getting on a flight. Hopefully, I'm guessing these 2 players will be announced tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to be announced tonight, but that is the state of play at the moment. A nice long 3-hour stream for you guys. All positive news as well, which we like to hear. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. Busy 24 hours ahead for Tottenham Hotspur. 2 signings look slow. They're going to be confirmed. Cahill and Ndombele look to be confirmed going out. So it just remains to be seen what other business we do for the remainder of the window. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.